So I can ready to start streaming. Okay, I think we'll go. There we go. So we should be live in a few seconds on YouTube if it catches up with us.
Yeah.
Come on. Just see if I can pick it up in the iPad as well.
Okay.
So it should be live now, I think.
Yep, I can see that on YouTube. We're good.
Fantastic. That's a good start. Right, hello everyone. I'm Lord Welshie, and I'm joined today by the developer of Eagle Island, Pixelnicks. So hi Nick. Thanks for joining me today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be playing through the game itself, and Nick's going to be available to answer any questions that you may have. So fire away any questions you have in the chat down below. I think what I'm going to do, Nick, I'm going to start with the standard demo, and then I'll play through the different challenge modes. I'll just kind of go through what you've added in since kind of the initial alpha that went out to some of the early streamers. Yeah,
that's good. You can try and beat that world record as well on the speedrun mode.
Oh, there's no chance. The fastest I've managed is about 1 minute 52. I just cannot quite get that, get it below that. It's
only 10 seconds off. You can claim it back somewhere.
Well, yeah, it's. Do you know what it is? It's those moles that keep putting me off. You know.
Yes.
Because some people have been, I think, quite lucky with where they spawn, so they'll end up with all three of them kind of turning up nearly at once so they can catch them with a single explosion. I never seem to quite get it.
No, it's tricky. They should be seeded like the level is, but at the moment they're not. So in the final game, they will all pop up in exactly the same place at the same time.
Yeah. One thing I have found that's quite helpful though in the speed run, we'll see if it comes up when I try it later, is every now and again you have one of those stomp bears turns up.
Yes.
Instead of... Whoop,
no, that's exactly the same issue as the moles. It appears randomly.
Yeah, I actually find it faster when he appears though, because I just jump over him and ignore him. So
yes, yeah.
It's quite helpful. So, you've been working on Eagle Island for, what is it, about the last 2 years in your spare time, is that right?
Yeah, it's just over 2 years now, actually. It started out sometime after the first Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
Right.
And it was actually more based on kind of the Rocket character from Guardians of the Galaxy with big guns, kind of like Ratchet and Clank.
Yes, sure. Rocket Raccoon, you mean? Is
yeah.
It? Yeah.
And then it slowly, I obviously thought every Metroidvania game has a character with big guns. So we just moved over to... it went to eggs like Yoshi's Island.
Oh, sure.
I'm missing out the fact that it was once like Mario 2 with vegetables. We will bypass that stage. It was the world's first roguelike Mario 2 clone. And then, we went to eggs and then over to a single owl instead of lots of little eggs. And that's how it ended up how it is today.
Oh, fantastic. So it's gone through a couple of design choices then, really. It's kind of evolved to this point. It didn't start off with Koji then. Yeah,
it's been a very sort of like smooth process going through something completely unique from something that was various rip-offs of other things really. So that was it's good I didn't just stick where I was and we actually went forward to something new.
Yes, well, this is something I've actually kind of noticed with Eagle Island is it definitely comes through kind of the influences from some of the 16-bit era games like Yoshi's Island and kind of the exploration you have in Metroid and some of the backtracking. But it's definitely got its own flair to it, and it feels different enough that it doesn't just feel like a kind of a reskinned clone.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely what comes from mixing so many different older games together. That you can't see any one specific influence in any one area, which is good. We have a quick question from Missing though, which I think is a Pokemon name reference.
It is, yeah.
He's asking, how would you pronounce the names? Well, I'm going to pronounce them in the question. Almora, Zephyra, Megira, and Ikora.
That's a good.
Which are the 4 legendary birds on the island. One of them's a bit angrier than the others. Almora does get up to a bit of mischief at the beginning and take your other owl hero to back to her nest.
Right.
Then there's the threat of Zephyra, Megira, and Ikora being kidnapped as well, so you have to rescue them before she gets to them. and that's who they're who grant you the magic feathers that let you transform into the elemental types.
Sure. So basically, for the demo, you've included all three of the magic feathers to give people a taste of what they'll do. But during the game, you'll kind of unlock these as you go. Is that right?
That is correct. So in the demo, you're actually powered up about 1/3 of the way through the game.
Only 1/3, right?
Yeah. There's going to be 9 levels in total.
Yep.
At the end of each one, you get a permanent power up. So at the end of the first 3, you'll get one of each of the magic feathers. So you'll be powered up enough to go and get the get Armora and Battler. But then let's just say there's another 6 levels after that, so it doesn't necessarily quite go to plan.
Right. So there's going to be obviously a lot more to it
Certainly.
than we're kind of initially seeing here.
Yes, indeed. It's a pretty deep story that should hit people a little bit unexpected. They won't expect to see it going quite the way it goes.
Oh, fantastic.
Hello, everyone who's just joined. There's a few people saying hi in the chat.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I can't really see the chat at the moment. I've got a couple of different things up on my screen at the moment, but Nick's there to answer your questions for you and keep you engaged.
Setup, which is a mix of Skype, YouTube, and all sorts. So I'm not actually in the same building as Lord Welshie.
No, we're probably a couple hundred miles apart, I should think.
Can you wave at Nicholas, please? He's waving at you in text form.
Hello. Yeah, so it is me on the camera, not Nick.
Yes,
so it is my video feed on there. I'm not quite sure that the stream, the way we've got it set up, would have handled 2 video feeds, and it would clutter up the kind of the gameplay a bit too much, I feel, as well.
Yeah, that might be a bit overkill, but we could try it again sometime and see if we can do that, 'cause that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be honest, this is the first time I've actually done a live stream with anyone else joining me. I tend to kind of sit and do them on my own, so it's quite interesting to have someone on the chat with me. So quite different, and hopefully it's it's going to be quite interesting for everyone watching to be able to have the developer kind of available to answer any questions in the chat directly.
Yeah, I think it's good. And we've got another question coming up already from Nicholas. Apologies, there was a little bit delayed. There is a delay in the stream and in how long it takes me to actually read the comments. But Nicholas is asking, how big is the world going to end up being? Which is a pretty difficult question to answer. There's 2 ways of answering it. One is how big is the island, which is a pre-designed hub world, which is always identical for everyone playing the game. And you'll explore that and find the entrances to the different levels. And the levels are as big as I decide they're going to be by typing in a number, basically. So you could have a level. The average level at the moment seems to be like 10 minutes long, seems a good length, but it depends how slowly you explore it or how quickly you explore it. But it can potentially make levels that are an hour long if you really wanted something to grind your way through, and be absolutely distraught if you died right near the end as well. But yeah, it's hard to say. The levels are going to be probably about 10 minutes long each for the standard levels, but there'll be all sorts of different options and modes you can play as well.
So that I think is quite interesting, that you're going to have this hub world that everyone will initially kind of see the same, but with kind of the individual levels within that hub world being procedural generation, even as you see in the demo here, I think it's going to keep things feeling really fresh. I mean, I will be honest, I do keep coming back to the demo. It's kind of my go-to at the moment if I just want to play something that's bright and fun, not necessarily super serious.
Yeah.
And even though it's kind of the same background each time, I never get bored with playing it through because it's something new every single time. Like I can have a playthrough and I'll see maybe one of those stomp bears. I mean, I think I've come across 2 of them in this initial playthrough already, and I'm still maybe halfway through the level. It's just little things like that kind of keep me on my toes and keep me really engaged in the game. So I think you've done a really good job there, and I think anyone who's played the demo has had kind of similar things to say.
Yeah.
With regards to the generation.
And there's plenty more to come, even just in this first area, to be honest.
Sure.
I intentionally made all the enemies really simple in this area, just so everyone could play the demo without struggling too much. So once the more dynamic enemies get in there as well, the ones that they won't be as vicious as the boss at the end of this level, but there'll be ones that do move around the level in simple ways, more like Goombas and stuff, just to keep you on your toes a little bit more.
Sure, because obviously you've got quite a few of the static enemies in here, and I didn't see that that moth there. So I mean, even some of these kind of, as you say, slightly simpler enemies, they still catch me out every now and again, just because sometimes I find they kind of blend in a little bit. You have to be paying attention. You can't relax.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
I mean, I think that's something that really comes across very well. Is though everything is bright and colourful and has this fantastic look to it, it's no less a challenging game for that. It's quite deceptively, almost cartoonish. And I don't usually like using that word because sometimes it has a negative connotation about it, but it works very, very well within this to kind of throw you off what you're expecting, which is, just keeps it feeling fresh every time I play it, really, which is great.
Yeah, that's good. You mentioned just now about the enemies blending in, and they are designed so that they feel like they're part of the world and not just something that's added on afterwards to create challenge. So yeah, I really wanted them to be the living creatures and living monsters in this world.
Yes, and it's definitely something that I feel works very well. So within this kind of lush forested area, the plant type enemies, the moths, the bears, they feel like they fit this area, and that's something that I'm always worried about in some games, or you come across where there are enemy types that just feel like they don't belong. Like you can tell they've been artificially kind of tacked in, whereas this feels much more cohesive and thematically linked, really. So it just works very, very well.
Yeah, that's good. We've got a couple more questions coming in.
Sure.
Missing Nose doing some Stomp Bear artwork, which is good. We will actually be doing a artwork competition over the weekend, which I'll announce later this evening. The evening in the UK, it'll be, I guess, late afternoon in America, where people can submit their artwork either of existing stuff or of new stuff they'd like to see in the game, maybe. Missing Nose says he pictures a stronger version of the Stomp Bear. Interestingly, one of the features I'm going to put in that I didn't have time before the demo came out is that if you don't clear a whole room and you come back to it later on, the enemies will have evolved into the tougher version. So, yeah, you don't want to run through a room and then run back through it later on because you'll be hit by the tougher enemies. So that's something to discourage the player from just rushing through without thinking too much about what they're doing. One, they'll miss out on the coins, and two, they will, they'll have to face, say, a tough Stomp Bear later on. I don't mean they're gonna turn into bosses or anything, but they'll just be that one notch tougher that you have to stop and think about getting past them.
Sure, and that's something I actually really like the sound of. So I don't know, it kind of almost feels like RPG light, so something a bit like Skyrim, where the areas kind of level with you. So I know it's not exactly the same, but as you kind of improve and level up within games like Skyrim, they tend to keep the enemies evolving with you to keep that challenge kind of constant, so it doesn't ever kind of get repetitive or dull. So obviously as you're going through a level, I think that'll work well, because as you can see, I've got quite a lot of upgrades for Koji's attack range and launch speed at the top.
Speed. Just do an example of that attack speed.
So here we go.
That is a speed. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I have to say, I was actually tempted. I was going to post something to YouTube, like a mini guide. I just didn't get around to doing it, of kind of my favourite builds that I found when you find these power-ups. But because it can be a little bit random, it's sometimes difficult to do. But I was going to look at like a tank build, a treasure hunter, different kind of things like that, and what the best treasures are to have that kind of effect.
Of course, there'll be a lot more perks in this game when it's finished than just the about 15 or so that are in the demo. Stephen says, "Oh, well done for finishing the level."
Thank you.
The basic level, that is.
Yeah, that was just the simple one. I'll go and explore a couple of the rooms that I've missed over there. But sorry, you carry on with that question.
I'll blitz through a couple of questions. Stephen is asking, what development environment and tools am I using to create Eagle Island? So. The programming is all done in Monogame, which is the modern version of C#, I guess. Not the modern version of C#, the modern version of XNA, which is in C#. which is what you used to use for indie games on the Xbox 360. And this one will work on Windows, Mac, Linux, Xbox, PlayStation 4 and Switch, so it's much more diverse, but it's the same framework, so it's really easy to get into if you're into your programming. It's a basic update logic loop and drawing loop, and you can just blitz out something like this pretty easily in it. The graphics are all obviously pixel art, so I use Aseprite and Pixel Edit. I jump between the two depending on whether I'm doing a larger piece or if I'm doing animation. I prefer Pixel Edit for animation and Aseprite for the slightly larger pieces. Or actually, I usually do the first frame of the graphic in Aseprite, and then I animate it in Pixel Edit. Will there be a new game plus or replayability? The beauty of the roguelike or sort of like procedural generation genre is that yes, you can easily extend the gameplay. So you'll have the basic levels in the game, and then if you revisit them later on, you can play the harder versions. And if you revisit them after the game is finished, you'll get the super hard versions, which will then lead on to the 100% finished ending. But there's the potential to make it go on forever, because I can just make it increasingly difficult and longer to get through. So yeah, they'll be verging on infinite replayability as we just sort of make it harder for you until you give up on it, really, I guess. Unless you want to keep on going forever, you're more than welcome to. How many people are part of the team? I am the designer, programmer, and the foreground artist. There's Derek, who does the backdrop pieces, which is the huge scrolling backdrop pieces. That's one of the main areas I'm getting Kickstarter funding for, because that's very expensive, because they go pixel by pixel. Those backdrops are pretty expensive. They take a lot of time. I've got Jacqueline, my concept artist, who will be designing the oh blimey, the chat's moving fast. We'll be designing the characters and enemies and such. And Johan will be my composer, and I'm sure you've all heard the soundtrack on the demo, which is pretty fantastic. And
it's definitely a very, very good soundtrack.
Yes, and that's just the beginning as well. We've only got a few tracks in the game, and they're not even finalised yet either. And finally, we've got Helen, who's a writer from the UK, who will be doing a very small amount of dialogue and I can't spoil it too much, but there is some dialogue in the game. It's not heavily dialogue based, but she'll be making sure that is much better than I can do myself. Let me just scroll up the chat, because I've answered that question quite slowly.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, I'm just going to start through this challenge level.
Oh, so good. We'll all have fun watching you struggle. Oh, you won't struggle at all. You're the second best player I've seen, Lord Welshie.
Second best?
Yeah, if you beat that speed run, that world record speed run, you'll get.
Oh, come on! It's the quality of the run. It's not how fast you are. It's how good you are.
We'll rate it. We'll rate how you do on this one.
Okay. Well, I hope someone out of the chat is going to keep score on this one.
Stephen is really annoyed at how you just blew away the level boss. Unfortunately, I wasn't actually watching. I was reading the chat when you did it. He's had a lot of practice, and you'll see in challenge mode it is a little bit trickier than just. I think you should not be allowed any magical feathers in the boss.
I do think you should have. I think in challenge mode you should be allowed to, but in challenge plus, definitely.
Oh, okay. The rock hard, bare bones. You start off with nothing mode.
Absolutely, no unlockable treasure chests, no feathers, nothing.
With none of the permanent power ups, and then unlocking the feathers as you have to pay for the feathers as you go.
Right.
That'd be an interesting mode to do.
Definitely would be.
Stephen is remembering how much the boss destroyed him.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Stephen. The first couple of times that I played it, he threw me off completely. I think Nick did a very good job of designing that boss. He was completely unexpected when I reached him. It did take me a couple of attempts to find a good strategy, which, as you'll see in a bit, is for me. I find what works quite well is doing the air juggle, but you do have to have some gems to power your. Kind of your ice feather to do it. Yeah.
Lots of people said when they first played it, the ice feather's not too useful in this game. And what would you use it for? That's what you use it for. Anything that takes more than one hit, you want to use the ice feather with.
Definitely.
On my Kickstarter page, I classify myself as an artist. What kind of art do I specialise in? I spent about 15 years struggling through pixel art until I finally found a style which looks half decent. So I can't draw by hand at all, but I can just about, with the help of my concept artist, get the game looking like this with the foreground graphics. So I did all the animation, tile sets, sprites for the foreground of the game. with the help of my concept artist who drew them up as hand-drawn sketches first to get all the proportions and the sort of volume of the characters. What have we got next? Oops. Oh, Jesse's asking if we meant his speedrun. I'm not actually sure who the speedrunner is that got 1 minute 42. Maybe it is Jesse. I'm not sure. I don't know the name. But if it is you, congratulations. But I can't get anywhere near that. What's the hardest aspect of running a Kickstarter? Everything. It is a pretty unpleasant experience. The single hardest aspect is not giving up, I think, to be honest, actually. It's very easy to get a very negative idea of what's going on, and a few days of no progress is really disheartening, and that's probably actually, there's a few times I started planning how I'd relaunch it, planning what I could do in the future, deciding if it was even worth it. It's not done yet, and we've still got a few days left, and we aren't 100% funded. We are on, if I just refresh the page, 17,474, which is 87%. So we're getting there. It's looking pretty realistic. I posted the charts on Twitter that show the progress because I'm completely transparent about everything. But we're not there yet. But I'm confident we can have a good stab at the last 48 hours and really push those pledges up. Final percent to success. I have also got a couple of stretch goals planned, which will be very small ones. They're not obviously I planned some bigger ones before the campaign started, but there'll be some very small stretch goals just to squeeze in a few extra features before the campaign's over, if we have the funding to do that. Missing No can draw by hand and struggles with pixel art a bit more. It's one of those things, I think you've just got to, because there's so many different styles of pixel art, you've got to find the one that suits you. And I really, like I say, about 15 years, and I stumbled upon it in sort of blind luck. It suddenly started looking like this. It's not like natural talent by any means. It's finding the lucky thing that works for me. Does my composer handle the sound design as well? There's a funny story about the sound design where I left some Smash Brothers sound effects in the very first version of the demo, which went out to quite a lot of people. But they have been removed now. I do the sound design. It's a bit new to me. I'm not too used to doing it. But I'm mixing basically. There's a bit of software called SFXR, which makes very old school sound effects, and I'm mixing them with public domain real recordings to make semi-realistic sounds, and I really quite like the sound of it. It sounds sort of chunky but realistic. That's pretty nice. Where have we got to? Oh, I think that's the end of the questions, actually. Oh, no, it's not.
I'm sure there'll be more that come through.
Stephen's saying bye. Goodbye, Stephen. I hope you enjoyed watching a wine be far too good at this game.
I've had a lot of practice.
Make some harder levels with harder enemies for him. So
yeah, there'll be a special mode just for me.
Yeah.
I do just want to say there's a little bit of audio distortion on the game. It's not the game itself, it's the stream, because my PC is actually doing quite a lot at the moment. There's a little bit of distortion coming through because it's handling the stream, the call with Nick, I'm sharing my screen with him, the webcam recording, so my PC's under quite a lot of strain. But what I'll do is once I finish this run through, I'll restart the game to see if that clears it.
Yeah, that sounds good. It is an early version. We know there is a few audio issues as well. Some people that actually can't play the game because of a little audio issue we've got, so I'm not going to pretend it's absolutely perfect yet because there's a lot of work to do still. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely, but it is something I think that is important to remember is it is still in the alpha stage, and it's very, very early on. So there's plenty of time to kind of look at anything like that comes up. But I think a lot of people will agree with me that even in the early stage it's in, it's a very finely polished piece of work, in my opinion. I mean, in terms of what's here, the enemy design, how the game handles and controls, and it feels so well balanced as well. And this is with potentially another year's worth of development left, I think. Is that right? It's about a year, sometime next year you're expecting?
Yep.
if we hit the target.
That's a beautiful juggle you've got going on there. that couldn't be better. Oh, they got
no!
They yes, hopefully middle of next year at some point we'll be pretty much at the point where it's ready for release. You can see I've done lots of the hard work. It's a smooth running game. You just need to add in enemies, areas, bosses, the hub world, and tie it all together, and that's the game really. But all the hard stuff done, which was the procedural generation, that took a lot of work.
Yeah, I imagine that would be probably one of the hardest things to do in designing this type of game, is ensuring that the procedural generation kind of you make sure you don't end up with rooms that you can't get out of. There's no exit from them.
Yeah.
And making sure it feels as kind of organic and built as it does.
Yeah, exactly. And that I mean, I can't even remember all the different methods I went through to try and get it looking like this. There's a secret wall on the left there, by the way. They're not as obvious in the mine area.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's exactly what I need.
There we go.
Good shout.
I would say I know the game inside out, but no one's ever seen this room before, so.
No, I mean, to be honest, I knew there were secret rooms in some of these areas, but I'd never caught that the tile was ever so subtly different. I just found them completely by chance by throwing Koji at a wall.
Yeah, they need to be a little bit more obvious. And the final game will as well have entire breakable walls that lead to secret areas, entire secret rooms, which is it's a feature I did want to get into the demo, but I didn't want to risk not quite doing it properly, so I put it aside until later on.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the sound. It's becoming a bit more noticeable to me, but as I say, I'll restart the game as soon as I've gotten through this challenge mode, and hopefully that will clear it. As I say, it's I keep getting the occasional warning on my PC telling me
I've got
usage is quite high.
CPU, a little pop-up keeps coming in the corner saying high CPU usage.
Yeah, you may experience some issues. I'm like, yeah, you could say that.
yeah. But that's just how it have to be, I think. But,
yeah, well, probably doesn't help that I've had the streaming software and kind of YouTube open in the background for quite a while I was setting this up before we started streaming, so that might not have helped. But I'll have a look if there's any tasks I can close down as well, anything non-essential.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
This is quite useful.
Frantically running through Twitter, this chat, and everything else all at once. If anyone else has any questions about the game, feel free to ask. It's a question and answer session, so.
Yeah, by all means, do ask them and ask away. I will try to keep you entertained in the meantime by playing through the game and hoping I don't embarrass myself and die somewhere further along. Because that would be the last thing I want to do on a live stream.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. And there's also just a reminder, there's a little share to Twitter, share to Facebook button at the bottom. Feel free to hit that so we can make the most of this this chance we've got to do this session. It's literally to be lining everything up so we're all here at the same time. Any plans for console release or handheld releases, such as the Switch? I would absolutely love this on the Switch. That would be a lifetime dream. Well, a dream I never even thought was possible, is to get it on a Nintendo console. If you told me I'd be making a game for Nintendo when I was back when I was 10, I'd have laughed and walked out of the room. So that would be an absolute lifetime dream to get it on the Switch. But it is very expensive. If I wanted to go for all the consoles for launch, the Kickstarter would be over 3 times its current. The amount needed would be 3 times as much at least. It's insanely expensive because it's not a skill I have on my own to actually do that. So that's yeah. If we get lucky and we get funded and then we actually sell and make money, then I would love to get it on the Switch. Is it a custom engine? So it runs in Monogame, which is a framework which allows you to pretty easily. I mean, it's the nicest thing I've ever used to put a game together in 2D at least. But yeah, I put all the platform engine, as it were, procedural generation engine together myself, which is it's quite a bit of work, but it doesn't do anything so overwhelmingly difficult that it took longer than I wanted. If you hit the secret walls with different feathers, they give you different gems. Normal is random. Ice gives you blue gems. Green gives you coins, and the red one gives you health. That's pretty well observed. I don't know if that's something I said on Twitter and you read it, or you figured it out yourself, but that is absolutely correct. That is how it works.
Yeah, I think that's something you had mentioned to me previously. I know you told me that before, but I quite like getting the random items, to be honest. I like to kind of live a bit dangerously.
Yeah,
so if I need health and I end up with blue gems, it's like, do you know what? That's how the dice have rolled. Oh, there's one.
I'm probably likely to make these blocks a lot more obvious, because if you know where they are and you know that's how you can get health all the time, you can have an awful lot of health compared to someone who doesn't even know that exists.
Yeah.
So it does need tweaking. It was thrown in quite last minute for the demo without too much thought.
Sure. I mean, I almost wonder if that would make an interesting perk for Koji, is that he would kind of hover near them and find them to show where they are.
Yeah, another idea someone came up with was the idea that Koji can track where the enemies underground are moving to.
Yeah, was that me that suggested that as well?
Oh, maybe it was.
I think it was me on Twitter at some point. I think I mentioned it.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, that was quite a nice idea. So you can prepare for them jumping up in advance, because you've got this perk, and especially the boss as well, so you can catch you. Surprise.
Yeah, definitely those underground bosses that can kind of dive down as well. It'd be quite useful.
Not for someone as professional as yourself, of course.
Oh no! I'm thinking for the average player, of course.
Yes.
I'm not usually this conceited, honestly.
Yeah.
There we go. So I think I've got what I find quite useful, especially when you're coming up to the triple boss. So I've got Tailwind, which improves Koji's kind of attack range, his distance. I find having one of those is quite useful. Any more than that, I find it takes a bit longer to return to you.
That is the downside to it, yeah.
Exactly. But then having two of the gem slot expansions is incredibly useful, just because I can spam away with the ice attacks and know that I've got plenty stored as backup to just keep going with it if I miss one of the shots. It's very useful.
Yes, yeah, definitely. One thing, I've just noticed how much money you've got, and people have commented about how easy it is to get money. That is another reason, not another reason, but another thing I put in the demo so that anyone can play it without too much skill. Before you learn how to do the combos, it isn't as easy to get so much money. So I made it intentionally quite easy to get a lot. But in hindsight, I should have made it harder again in the challenge mode, because people have mastered it. But it is actually exactly the same as normal mode, if not even more money, because there's more enemies. So in hindsight, I wish I'd actually changed that to the demo, so people struggling with it. Any plans for different outfits for the main? Any plans for different outfits for the main character? Yeah, how? Oh, I see. Can the main character change? Yeah. So, honestly, there's no plans for it, simply because in 2D games, it's a lot trickier to redraw every frame of animation. Oops, that's his old name. He's now called Quill. Quill has a lot of animation frames. If I just load up his file at the moment, he has 2, 4, 6, 8. Lots, basically. And the reason behind that is, if you stand still for a moment, I've lost my Skype window, where it is. If you stand still, you'll notice the falconry glove is on his right hand. Now, typically what a game would do when you turn around is flip the sprite so he's facing the other way. But actually, I redrew every frame of animation in the entire game for Quill, so that his falconry glove is always on his right hand. Was it worth it? That's. I'm not going to answer that, because it took a very, very long time. But in my opinion, just little touches like that just make the game extra nice, and it deals with a few issues to do with how you hold Koji on your arm as well when you're holding him still. So that's the reason he's got so many animation frames. He's got double the amount any normal character would have. But he probably won't have changing outfits. At least it's not planned at the moment. If you stand on the boss's spawn placement, you only have to fight one at a time. That is correct, yeah. I'll probably change that because it's a bit cheaty. I didn't think about it when I programmed it in. Or you just stand there and get all three at once.
Let's see if this works. Come on!
It's a fountain of... Oh, now they're going to get you. If you get one, you'll get all your gems back. Oh, you don't know which one has the least health either. Oh, that was very nice. Oh no, it wasn't.
I knew that was bad.
I thought you killed him and collected all the stuff instantly, but he actually dived underground.
He went underground. But this gives me an excuse to restart to hopefully clear that sound issue. So bear with me 2 seconds while I just get this cleared. Another thing that will probably help. Just a moment. There we go.
That was quite an interesting boss room, actually, with that tiny hidey hole in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of did me in the end because I had no way of manoeuvring. So there is a bit of a risk of getting a room like that. It's quite easy to just feel like you can sit there and be quite safe, but as soon as you run out of gems, you're forced to move.
Yeah,
and it just makes it a little bit trickier.
And I was actually really tied when I was designing the boss room, whether it should be procedurally generated or not, and because it massively varies the challenge if you get a lucky room. But I thought that's part of the fun of a sort of roguelike game, isn't it? You either get lucky or you don't. So the boss rooms are completely procedurally generated, like the other rooms are, with a tiny bit more control to them, because they always have enough space for the boss to move around in. They're never a tight tunnel. But that was, I'm glad I did that. I took that decision because it creates a little bit more interesting scenario, like you were just stuck in.
Yes, yeah, definitely. It certainly makes things a little bit interesting. Oh dear, I'm not doing very well this time, am I? This will be interesting. Let's see how far I can get with a single shred of health.
Yeah, that's another mode I'd like to put in for sort of post-game fun. It's just like one-hit mode, so you can go back to all the levels you've done, and just a lot of different challenges really. So you can have fun in different sort of modes: speed run, one hit point, no power-ups, little things like that make it a little bit more, little twist on each level.
I think that's the thing is. There's so many potential kind of permutations of what you could do to just put little twists on the gameplay, and on top of the procedural generation, having these other options to just to keep people coming back, and it really makes the game feel incredibly deep and kind of well-rounded, I suppose, as well. Just being able to have all of that in there.
Yeah, good. I was just trying to post the link in the chat, but unfortunately I'm not allowed. But if anyone likes what they see and they haven't backed it yet, it's pixelnicks.net/Kickstarter.
Let me see if I'm allowed to, because I am.
I can kind of write a broken version in there.
There we go. Try that.
Oh, you changed me. I wasn't watching.
Oh, sorry.
oh, there you go. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you click that as my username at the beginning. It got confused.
Oh, right. Okay.
It made a special block out of me. But anyway, people get the idea anyway.
Yeah.
If they want to check it out.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. So it is there. It is there, and definitely, if you like what you see here, definitely go and back it. I mean, I can honestly say I've probably put close to about 24 to 30 hours into this, into just the demo. I am not exaggerating. My wife will tell you I have put a heck of a lot of time into this demo. Just because, as I said earlier, it's just a game that I just find a lot of fun to come to. If I just want a nice gaming experience that's fun, nothing too heavy, but something that can still give me a bit of a challenge, it's absolutely ideal for that. Although, you know, I'm a bit wary that I do sometimes get a bit frustrated with the speed run and the fact that I can't quite get it below that that 1 minute 52 mark.
Yeah. The end game, hopefully, what we're going to do, one of the little stretch goals we're going to put in, and it won't be a very big one, but on the Kickstarter, it will just be a little bit extra, and we'll put in a weekly changing high score speedrun mode. So it changes every week, and you can try and be number one that week. And I hate to say it, but we have a Reverse Bird fan in the audience here.
Way!
Bring back Reverse Bird, says Minor Disappointment. You can try and get, I don't recommend trying to get one in this situation, but I think Reverse Bird is fixed now, and there is no... Quill still turns around a little bit funny, but there is no reverse.
It's Reverse Quill now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yes, the last live stream I did, Fred, if anyone was in that who's in the chat now, if not, I was playing an earlier version of the alpha build, and someone told me about Reverse Bird in the chat, and I just had to do it, and it was one of the greatest things I've seen. I know Nick fixed it because it is technically a bug, which is fair enough, but it was fun. I think, are we still going ahead with the t-shirt plan if the game gets funded?
Yeah, we can have Reverse Bird t-shirts, but for the 0.0001% of the population who understand what that is.
What Reverse Bird will be. Yes, I think that was... I was going to suggest that as a stretch goal, is having Reverse Bird as a challenge mode, where only Reverse Bird does damage to enemies, and it would take a true master. Would be a challenge. It would take a true master, especially because I never managed to get Reverse Bird to work in the up-down
and imagine
direction.
The diagonal Reverse Bird.
Oh, I never managed that.
That is beyond comprehension.
I think that would break the laws of physics. That would that would open a singularity. I think that's a bit too dangerous, I'll be honest.
Ben started asking, wait, what is a Reverse Bird? Nick, tell me, I need to know. Shocked and confused face. A Reverse Bird is when you change Quill's location one frame before launching him, and Koji continues in the right direction, but his graphic is flipped, so he flies backwards through the air.
Yeah, so you can see I can't do it anymore. I used to be able to, but Nick did an update and now I can't.
There was also, in the very old build, a slow motion Reverse Bird, where if you fired Koji into a very specific corner, he would incredibly slowly move backwards across the screen, and you'd have to wait for him to finish this motion before you could use him again, and it would take over 30 seconds for him to complete this little slow motion reverse flying action. Was it a bug? Oh, it was a bug where the bird would return you. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading that completely wrong. It was a bug where the bird would return to you backwards and spin, yeah. People like the idea of it, but sadly it is fixed.
Yes, I think the decision was reached that it had to be a special feature to be unlocked within the main game. Or that's where the chat, I think, was going in the last live stream.
Yeah, we'll have an up, down, down cheat code or something going on.
Oh, the Konami code on the go. Yeah, fantastic.
And that would thoroughly confuse anyone who's entered it, because nothing special happens. You suddenly start noticing your bird occasionally flies backwards in a 50 match.
Yeah, I think the problem you'll have with that is then people will file bug reports with you saying, yeah, sometimes he flies backwards.
Yeah, you shouldn't be trying to cheat then.
Yeah.
That's what we learned from that one. Or maybe we'll do the classic anti-piracy method where something funny happens in the pirated version, and after a while all you can get is Reverse Bird. Or maybe people would start pirating it more for that, who knows.
I think that's...
still have an old enough build to get a Reverse Bird. I think it's probably 115.
Yes, it might be. I think
we're currently in 117.
Some of the old
There's a change log.
Actually,
I didn't list it as one of the changes in the change log.
I think that's what threw me off when I was trying to do it. I was like, I'm sure I could do this before.
Some people haven't even got the latest build. Significant Jelly Bean, who did a video earlier on that you can go and watch on YouTube. They did a video recording. Yeah, it is pretty annoying fixing that stuff. It's trying to catch some of the bugs is difficult as well, trying to figure out what causes them.
Yeah, I know that from experience. I'm not a developer myself, but I do some QA work for my full-time job. And I know for a fact that when I go to the developers and say this doesn't work, and I can show them what I've done to replicate it, and they try and figure out exactly what in the code has caused what I've done to break everything.
Ben's talking about a meme I don't know. He says the shooting star meme needs a Reverse Bird. Which is,
oh my word, yes.
I don't know what the shooting star meme is. I'm going to have to
with
my loud keyboard.
You need to look it up. It's just basically anything that ends up either jumping or going flying through the air, and it's then green screened onto something with some...
Yes. No, I didn't know what it was called, but yeah, I know what it is. Yeah. That is a good one.
There we go. So... Whoa, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the chat because I managed to get it up on the screen. So, minor disappointment has said at Winchester he remembers joking about a reverse bird plushie. Surely you could just sell the normal forward bird plushie and just sit it backwards.
Yeah, but you burn twice as much money by selling the reverse one at premium.
That's a clever marketing ploy. I like it.
Yeah.
So
you could stock up on normal ones, turn them backwards, and then sell them for a profit.
But then what you have to do is the listing on your online store, you just have to flip the photo.
Yeah, exactly. Preferably with some text in the background that is also flipped to make it really obvious you're scamming someone.
I really like that idea. That's fantastic. This needs to happen. You realise that now?
Yeah, well, definitely. for the 4 people who understand, I'll make sure it happens. It's well worth my time.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's the thing, is you'll have 4 people who will have bought the reverse bird version. One of them will be me, whereas everyone else has bought the regular forward bird edition, which has cost the normal price. So you'll essentially have 4 additional sales.
Sorry, hold on, I'm just trying to invite some couple of people in who are asking
what the link is. Yeah, I should tweet it out a bit more, but I kind of don't want to get killed by these moles. There we go.
Yeah. I'm trying to write a tweet now, but it keeps telling me off because I keep writing the same tweet over and over, and it doesn't allow you to do that.
No, yes.
If anyone else would like to share this to try and get the word out, that'd be very much appreciated.
Yeah, by all means, share the stream out on Twitter, Facebook, any form of social media. Let's get people into the chat asking questions while I have got Nick kind of joining me on the call as well. Because I think you did do a stream yourself kind of near the start of your Kickstarter, I think, didn't you? But have you been on any others kind of since then?
No, I learned very quickly I cannot play games, talk and read at the same time. That is not a profession I wish to take up. But this is the first time I've done it actually since then. So this is a good because I can watch someone play, I can read the comments, I can just about get by, and I'm missing all the comments because I'm nattering away. So Project MQ is asking if there's any collaborations with the Owlboy team. I'd be over the moon to work with one of their artists. I'll tell you that. That'd be incredible. Don't think I'm quite up to their level yet though, so I'll sit by for the time being on that one.
It's alright, they'll come to you, I'm sure. M-Star's getting promoted to Spaceboy Games. Something. No, he's not. Someone asked if he was, because he's got a very similar avatar to the Spaceboy Games team. Oh yeah, he even says, the avatar was an inspiration. Yeah, it's quite a nice style, I like it. The brightly coloured cartoon colours. Sort of mismatched cartoon colours over instead of real colours. Oh yeah, that's the questions. We're up with the questions. I think if anyone else wants to ask anything more, feel free. Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. I've got it kind of off to the side in a little window on its own. But every time I do that, I get hit by a moth. It's quite specifically a moth that hits me every time I check the chat. So I'm going to have to kind of look out for what enemy types are in a room. And I can guarantee you, as soon as I get into a room that hasn't... I've done it again. As soon as I get into a room that has no moths, I will check the chat and one will probably spawn just to spite me.
Yeah. Minor disappointment has found actually what I'd consider to be the first bug that I didn't really know about. He found a glitch where Koji just stays on your glove and you can't attack. If you can explain to me how to reproduce that, that'd be very much appreciated, because I haven't seen that at all in any form yet. Ethan's asking, what is my favourite power-up? If it's my favourite perk, you mean, the ones that go along the top, it would always have to be the speed boost one, because you get 4 of those and you're pretty much... it's pretty much machine gun Koji. That's pretty good fun. But the end game will have a lot more... so each time you play it, you'll have a completely new power-up you probably never saw before. And you've got to decide, do you want to risk taking this new power-up, or use one that you're familiar with, or what do you want to do? But it's there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be an absolute ton of them to really mix up gameplay each time you play and adjust the way you play the game. And of course, there's always also the permanent power-ups, which include the feathered attacks, the magic feather attacks, and that's 3 of 9 that will be in the game, including movement power-ups to help Quill and Koji move around the screen. They haven't all been revealed or fully planned. So having a little bit of a think about how to implement them, because I wasn't too keen the way I first did it and removed the demo because of it.
Okay, I mean, I quite like the sound of having additional power-ups and perks in the game. I mean, I do think that the ones that I hear are very interesting, and I like how they kind of just change the gameplay up a little bit. So, especially with some of the ones that affect how Koji moves with either his attack range or his launch speed. Just because it forces you to think a little bit about your distance from enemies, the timing, especially on the ones that move in very gentle circles. You can tell I hate the moths with a passion. But I think having additions to that, it's certainly going to be quite interesting, but I imagine there's going to be a bit of a challenge for you in that, in making sure that the balance of the game in terms of your difficulty and how you traverse the environments is not kind of tipped too far one way or the other in introducing something like that.
Yeah. And there's oh, sorry, missing questions right there, almost off the top of the screen. Ethan likes stacking the streamlines up because of the launch speed. Yeah, they are pretty good. But because of the high amount that will be in the full game, the chance of being able to stack them is reduced slightly, but some perks will be more common than others. So the basic power-up ones like that will be quite common, and then you have the rarer ones which have maybe a slightly more powerful effect. Like a slight homing effect, for example, increasing the fire explosion, increasing the amount of time the ice takes to thaw if you're using the ice attack, similar things like that. And even then, there's plenty more to think about that. I haven't even thought about yet. Significant Jelly Bean is asking, ideally, what would you like the difficulty curve for the final game to be like? The demo treads the line between being enjoyable and difficult, which is good. Yeah, so the way it works, if you die and you reload, you're almost like continuing where you left off. You just lost your perk because it is just more rooms that are different. But I want it to be intentionally pretty difficult. I very specifically chose 3 hit points, like an older Mario game, say, where he's only got 2 hits. Just because I like that old school feel of every hit matters and you've got to be really careful. But I'd like it to be, once you've mastered how to defeat a specific enemy or a specific challenge, you've mastered it and you can do it really well. Like when you were playing on your old Super Nintendo, and you could genuinely master the games. Unlike modern games nowadays, where how good you are determines how long you've grinded to level up. I don't see much of actual genuine skill increase in games, or learning tricks and tips and little techniques that you used to learn when you played the older games. That's what I'm going for. So it's difficult at first, but you learn how to play the game, and once you learn how to play each level, that's when you become good at it. You start showing it. So yeah, that was really it. That's how I want it to go with the difficulty.
Yeah, and I do think that even in the demo, you've managed to get kind of that very fine line between the occasionally frustrating difficulty but satisfying gameplay. You've managed to kind of balance that very, very well in this demo. I mean, just from a gameplay perspective, I'm actually having to put a lot of thought into what I'm doing in particular rooms. At a glance, if I see kind of a group of enemies in an area, I kind of got to think about what I'm doing to approach that, which I don't find very often in a lot of games now. It's something I kind of miss from the older style of games, and it's nice to kind of see that making a comeback, and how you've managed to implement that as well as you have done is really quite refreshing to see, I have to say.
Good. Are we going to have harder enemies for challenge mode, such as troll mimics? Actually, we're talking about like chest mimics.
Ooh, I like that.
That would catch a lot of people out, wouldn't it? I'd have to
it would.
catch them before you touch them, because otherwise that'd be unfair. But yeah, that'd be quite entertaining to watch people get caught out right at the end of a level with 1 hit point. because they weren't paying attention to whether a chest was a mimic or not. As for harder enemies, we did discuss earlier about if you leave a room and come back into it after a while, then the enemies will be tougher, and in challenge mode they can be tougher as well. So the enemies are still quite easily scalable in difficulty, and I'd like to just change their colour subtly depending on which sort of difficulty version they are.
Okay, I mean, the idea with the chest mimics I quite like. I quite like the idea of having a mimic where it's got the magpie on top, and maybe as you approach it eats the magpie.
Oh, yeah. yeah. Or if you're not paying attention, it's actually not a magpie that's on it, it's a different bird, and that bird attacks you. That's
yes.
Nice.
I think that would be quite clever, personally. I think that would be a great idea. Joe Lark has just said the boss could be a mimic. I actually quite like that idea, that, like where it's... The way I kind of picture that is if you go up to the chest, try to open it, and it's like the head frill of a boss that's buried underground and it kind of rises up underneath it.
Yes.
I think that would be very cool. I like that.
Or he rises up, it's just his helmet, it looks like a chest of him.
Yes.
That'd be pretty good. It'd be quite nice to have, toward the end of the game, a boss that you defeat, and then when you get the chest after defeating the main boss, and there's a mimic on the end as well. That'd be pretty mean.
I do definitely like that idea. Now let's see if I can get the air juggle going properly. Ah, just missed him. Oh, there's the third one.
Oh.
Hiya.
Ethan likes roguelikes because the difficulty varies based on the room. Yeah, that's quite nice. I've tried to make it so that the difficulty in the levels gets progressively harder by the amount of enemies in the rooms and what enemies appear. So at the beginning you'll only ever notice the simple enemies, but then the difficult ones pop up later on.
Hey!
Oh, we're losing the sound again. I think we just have to apologise for that.
Yeah, I apologise for that. Again, it's the amount of processing work my CPU's having to do. It can't keep up as well as I'd like it to. It's doing quite a lot at the minute, so I'll probably restart the game and then attempt the speed run.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So bear with me 2 seconds. I'll just get that restarted. Just make sure that comes up in the stream. There it is. There we go. Right, so we'll get the speed run going now. I suspect this isn't going to be as quick as I'd like it to be because it's live. I can guarantee it's going to go wrong. I've got video evidence of me completing it in under 2 minutes,
yeah,
I swear.
That's true, you do.
I just haven't posted it to YouTube yet. I was going to post it and then someone posted a time that was faster than mine. I was just like, no, there's no point anymore. Oh, what am I doing? Hang on a minute. I was treating this like a normal run-through. Hang on. Right, we'll start again. There we go. Does that technically count as completing it?
Joe's asking what your fastest speedrun time is. The world record's 1:42, I think.
Yeah,
and
that's about
10.
Mine's about 1:52. So the world record is about 10 seconds faster than my best. And for love nor money, I cannot get any faster than 10:52. I can usually get it below 2 minutes. When I hit that 10:52, I've never done it since. I've got one straight away.
A bad start.
Straight away.
He doesn't have that. He's not having any of that. He's going straight back to start again.
No, I'm not going to bother sitting through and trying to get under 2 minutes when I have a start like that. It's not going to happen.
Joe's top speed is 1:56, which is pretty good going, to be honest. That's
very
about
good.
as fast as I can get it, to be honest. And I've played this a lot more than anyone else has.
Yeah, it took me hours.
It's 1:43 is the world record, or the world recorded record. There could be some guys.
There could be someone who's done it faster,
but he can't record it. He's actually in 1 minute 39.
He went the wrong way. No, okay, we'll get it.
Yeah, you just got to get in the zone. Once you're in the zone, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm still kind of in challenge mode playthrough, so...
Yeah, but you want to battle and combo everything, but that's not necessarily the best thing to do in speedrun.
Yeah, I'm in the mindset that I want to fight things. I'm feeling quite aggressive still.
Yeah, you've got to pick your battles carefully to maximise time.
Right, hang on a minute. You're going to see a lot of restarts. Until I can get that room done properly, I'll keep restarting, because I can usually get out of that room by the 8-second kind of point, which for me is kind of the benchmark to make sure I'm going to have a good run.
Yeah, it would be nice actually. A nice feature would be showing your best ghost of that day, so you can compare how you're doing compared to how you.
There we go. That's better. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'd love to see a ghost of your best speed run, so you can just kind of see where your best moments were. There was no point in doing that, but never mind.
Joe says, spam WJ and L at the door, and the text comes up, and you'll be a pacifist.
WJ and L.
Yeah, are you playing keyboard or
controller? I'm not very good with the keyboard, I'll be honest.
What the WASD controls are, but is that the attack and the change feather button, Joe? I should know this because I put it together, but I've forgotten.
I'm about 2 seconds behind where I should be.
I find this in particularly difficult, getting up there while still climbing up while you're attacking is tricky.
I was hoping for the stomp bear here, I'll be honest, because
you can literally there.
I literally jump over him and he's faster.
When you're at the door to the hub world, spam up, attack, and change feather all at the same time, and something will happen. I think that's when you break it and the bird just sits on your arm for the rest of the day. I haven't done that myself, so I'm not sure. That'll be quite interesting to see. The door doesn't actually always spawn at the moment. It depends on what room you come from, like what kind of design of room it does. Oh, this is a pretty good. That's the 150.
154.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
As I said earlier, I was exactly 2 seconds behind where I should be for my fastest run.
Yeah, it goes to show, doesn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. If you slip up in, I'm just going to collect these for the sake of it. Yeah. If you slip up in one room, it can throw off your entire run.
Yes.
But that's not a bad run. That's not too bad. Anything below 2 minutes is a very, very good run, in my opinion.
Yes, I struggle with that, so that says something.
Right,
I want to see this door glitch. I want to see spamming attack, change feather, and up all on the door.
On the door?
Yeah.
Ah!
I think you've got to be overlapping the black part of the door.
Ah.
Oh, Joe's saying he showed me on Twitter, but I think I might have not been paying attention because I've lost. I can't remember what he showed me. Was it in a private message, Joe? Let's have a look. I can't remember what Joe's username is, so I can't see him in my DMs. Oh, here we go. Oh, he did. He sent me a video, and I Oh no, that was me sending him the speedrun video. I spammed. You didn't show me what happened though, Joe. You said you spammed J, but I don't know what the outcome is of that. We're going to put this link in. Oh, and Significant Jelly being tweeted out. Thanks very much.
Ah, not quite. explain it. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to see if I can beat that previous time.
You can do it. I think you can get the 145.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'd love to, but the number of times I've attempted this and I've not managed it. Oh, that was beautiful. That wasn't quite so beautiful.
We're very nearly at the 17,500 mark.
Oh, excellent. Good.
When we hit 17,600, that is the 88%.
So definitely, guys, if you like what you see on the stream, please follow the link, pixelnicks.net/Kickstarter. I think it should be scrolling across the bottom of the screen, actually. I'm sure I put it on.
It is, yeah, it's scrolling over there.
Fantastic.
You just need to get some more people in here who haven't seen the game before. That's the tricky part. So if you know something like the sort of game, just send them a link directly to this stream so they can have a look at it.
If you know someone who likes owls.
Yeah. If you pledged on Kickstarter already, and you know someone else who might like it, if you refer them to it and they pledge and they mention that you referred them, you could both be in for a chance of designing one of the monsters in the game. There'll be a random draw at the end of the Kickstarter, and I'll pick random people who got referred, and both the referrer and the referee will get a chance of designing one of the monsters for the game. So it's well worth telling your friends about it. Because that reward would normally cost £250 if you paid for it as a pledge, and you're getting it for the £10 basic pledge. Joe's blaming his bad internet and not showing me this clip.
Go, 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 go! Oh, 151! That's a personal best!
Good, yeah. It's not. You've got to get the 1-4 something though. That's where all the professionals are.
Yeah. Oh, that wounds me deeply. That wounds me deeply.
Like I said, you're an expert challenge player, but you've got to be an all-round challenge and speedrun player to be classed as a professional.
Well, we'll have to give it another try then.
Significant Jellybean just realised only now that they know somebody likes owls. Right, we better get it sent over to them. Send them a link to the stream so they can see how the game works.
I imagine you know quite a few people who like owls, because I can't think of many people that don't like owls except for people who are afraid of birds.
Yeah, I haven't heard of anyone say, "Oh, I hate Eagle Island because I hate owls." It's not a common one.
No, I've not heard that at all so far.
Jesse thinks that 140 might be possible.
It probably is.
I think I definitely need to fix the very minor seeding issues before you get that detailed, though, because if you get unlucky in one of the rooms because it's seeded slightly different, and little things like the moths, when they spin round, they pick a random direction, and that should be seeded so that it's always the same when you go into a room, so you can learn which way they're going to turn.
Yes.
When you get down to 1 second, that could be the make or break.
Yes, like that last run through I did, the 151, I was quite lucky in that 2 of the rooms I went into that had the moths, they went in a direction where I didn't... Oh,
sorry, I'm not going to butt in. I didn't realise Missing No was Eggy off Kickstarter. Eggy is certainly one of my chattiest fans. So, yes, thank you for joining us, Eggy. And, yeah, keep an eye on the Kickstarter, see how it goes. And keep supporting and sharing it with people who will like it. We are that close. The fact we're almost... If we can get 90% before the last 48 hours... That will be spot on. That will be really, really good. I mean, ideally, I'd like to get it funded a lot earlier on, but it's going to be a really last-minute thing probably on Monday when we get funded, if we get funded. And it's going to be absolutely nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I mean, it is obviously getting quite close to the wire, I think, isn't it? It's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, I think, for you, hasn't it?
Definitely. It's certainly not something I want to do again. That's for sure.
Once is enough.
Yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed. I mean, the dream would be to get this funded and then to make a bit of money when it comes out and make more games, because I want to make lots of games, basically. That's where I want to be.
And that's the dream, really. So I really do want to see this funded, because I want to play the full game.
Noise, you heard it, is my wife coming home, so I'll just let her in the door because she's left her key somewhere.
Oh, right. Well, I've got my recording light switched on outside, so hopefully I won't be disturbed. Just gotta hope we can get under the 151 mark. Ah, I missed it. That was a bit unfortunate.
I don't know until it's done. We've been going. How long's the stream been on?
It's been going for about an hour and 10
15
minutes.
Yeah.
So doing all right. But this is what I mean, is I'm quite happy to sit here for 1 or 2 hours at a time and just play through.
Yeah.
I mean, that first stream I did was over 2 hours long, and it was originally meant to be just an hour. I just didn't notice. Oh dear, missed that. How much time had actually passed. So it's quite easy to get lost in this game.
You just don't know when to stop. Pocket Victor is asking, is this your first game? It's the first game I've got this far with, let's put it that way. I've had a lot of failures in the past. Biggest one was probably a roller coaster simulator, which was imagine something like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but in a platform game view like Mario. So, it was an interesting idea, but there was far too many more impressive rivals out there that it wasn't worth pursuing. But I learned a lot about game development in that, so I wouldn't have been able to make this, definitely, if I hadn't done that. And if one of the stretch goals will be like minecart sections like Donkey Kong, and I will use that same roller coaster mechanic from that game and just import it straight into this game. So we've got nice slick. They're not going to be roller coasters; they're going to be mine tracks. But the same mechanics from that, which would be quite nice. Sort of going down the minecart tracks, launching Koji off at the targets or at the enemies as we go past, trying to get the time right.
I mean, I do like the idea of having the kind of the minecart sections in the game, and for anyone who was in the stream from the start, as you saw when kind of playing, I'm not paying attention, when playing through the challenge mode, there's a couple of screens of the mine area you go to, so I think thematically it fits really well, so I'd quite like to see that. Yeah,
and there's a couple of other areas as well where we can fit it in later on, which they're not mines particularly, but that would fit with the theme of the level. And of course the mine track will be completely procedural like the levels are, so you never know quite what the layout would be.
That's
Joe
something
sent me a picture, but he can't get traps working, so he's just sent a picture. This is what he means. Oh, I see. So Koji gets stuck in his get ready to launch mode. But can you move around when he's doing that, or is he just stuck? I don't know. But he's very stuck basically. He's almost sitting on your shoulder. Let's wait and see what the response is to see if he gets. Because I imagine it's pretty much game over if you get that far.
Yeah, I can't imagine you'd be able to do much more if you got to that kind of state. There's the bear!
So yeah, the bear is quicker. You don't need to stop with that the mushroom.
I'm not going to do the 140. That's unfortunate. Come on!
So this is going to be under 50, surely.
Yes!
Ooh.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's better than I can do.
Good gravy. Oh, well, I've worked up a sweat. Right, I'm going to restart once more just because the sound is starting to go a bit funny in the processor processing again, and I'll see how long we can. Well, how long do you want to keep going, Nick? I mean, I'm good to keep going for as long as you need.
Whatever. I'm not sure if we're getting new. If we get some new people watching, we'll keep going. How about that?
I think that sounds good.
We've had 12 people watching, but I think it's been the same 12 people who have probably already pledged already in the chat. And I just want to raise a bit more awareness for people that we've got, so they can ask questions if they haven't pledged yet or they want to know more about the game.
Sure. Well, just while we'll kind of see if anyone new does join. Does anyone have any suggestions in the chat as to which mode you would like to see me take on? Do you want to see me go through standard, through the speedrun again to try and beat that 148, or do you want me to go through the challenge mode again? So just leave me your thoughts. We'll see what the public demands. I have to say, actually, as you mentioned earlier, the soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal. Just what's here even at the moment. I feel really bad because I've forgotten the name of the person who you got to do it.
Johan.
I think he's done an absolutely fantastic job on making pieces of music that, again, just feels like it fits the tone of the game, which is just, again, something really nice to hear. And it's the kind of music I can imagine I'd be quite happy to just sit back and listen to while maybe just reading a book or relaxing.
Yeah. There is that soundtrack pledge level, so you can do that.
Which I have pledged.
I asked him to base it on Donkey Kong Country 2, where the soundtrack is very much sort of blended in with these very natural environments.
Yes, yeah.
Key starting point on that one, yeah. Oh, goodbye, Pocket Victor. He's off to work.
Yep, thank you for joining. Okay, so we've got Kieran saying challenge.
Kieran wants challenge mode.
Okay, we'll go challenge mode.
He's found a glitch on the boss for his run.
Oh, did you?
Yes, he loves that. I haven't got the game sounds on my one, so I'm not sure what part he likes, but I'm guessing he likes the piano part where it all gentles down.
Yes, yeah, that is a lovely piece of music. What was that track called? Is it Sunset Over Eagle Island?
That is Sunset Over Eagle Island, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic piece of music, and it's on SoundCloud, isn't it? So
yeah, there's also a sort of prototype boss theme as well for one of the more aggressive bosses later in the game. On there as well. I would link it, but I can't. But I'm sure Lord Welsh will link it at the end of the session.
Yeah, I will do. I'll make sure I put a link to the track into the live chat. Okay, so this next room's a dead end one, so there might be something handy in there. What was that? Sorry, Nick, I missed that.
Oh, Ben says it actually reminds him of the new Donkey Kong games, which I enjoyed equally as much, if not more, than the old ones I had. Particularly the first Donkey Kong Country Returns. It was one of my favourite, if not maybe my favourite Donkey Kong game. Especially on co-op, or I say co-op, on the two-player mode when you're running through. It's pretty good fun. But yeah, the music reminds me of that because it's a bit more high def than the old Super Nintendo version.
Yeah, slightly higher quality.
I did actually as well. I quite often have the Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze soundtracks playing when I'm game developing because it's so sort of gentle background music but nice. So I preferred choices.
Yeah, I mean it's something that I sometimes have some of these different types of soundtracks or music on when I'm writing some of my my videos, especially the theory ones from my other channel. Yeah,
I'm just going to butt in there. If you haven't checked out the Theory Pop channel, which is Lord Welsh's game and film theory channel, it is well worth checking out. I very much enjoy watching this video. I'm sure I'll post a link at the end, but they are very well thought out and very well planned videos.
Oh, thank you for the plug, Nick.
It's completely honest. I genuinely look forward when it's a new one. One of the few ones I keep watching.
Yeah, well,
I hope you do an Eagle Island theory as well when it's done. There's a lot of backstory, a lot of lore, a lot of sort of hidden features and hidden story that you might not notice on a basic run through. Keep you guessing.
It's definitely on my list of the ones I actually really want to do. I mean, for anyone in the chat, there is a Twitter account that is tied to the game that isn't the developer. It's am I right to say this, Nick, or do you want people
Sorry,
to
I was
themselves?
reading. You have to say that again.
I was just saying there is a Twitter account for anyone who hasn't found it. Am I right to mention it, or
you can? Yes. At the moment, it was going to be planned to run alongside the Kickstarter, and I had quite a lot planned out. But Kickstarter was a lot heavier than I thought it would be, and I haven't had time to run this separate game, as it were, alongside the Kickstarter. But what I'm going to do is run a sort of like a bit of an ARG alongside the game's launch, which will unlock secrets within the game if you follow it. But that's all I'm saying for now. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So look out for.
Significant Jelly Bean asks, how much of the lore did you deduce from the demo? None, to be honest. It's just the tech demo that shows off the game's control and how the game works. So there's not actually any of the story elements at all in this demo.
No, so that's I think that's something to kind of really reward people for the Kickstarter is when we get the full game, we will get the full story, and it's driving me mad because I'm trying to figure out bits and pieces from little hints on the on Nick's Twitter, trying to figure out what the story's going to be.
Yeah, and I'm intentionally keeping that quite secretive so I don't spoil it for anyone.
Yes, yeah, and I'll be honest, I quite like that because I like something with a little bit of mystery to it, because it I quite like, I mean, this is why I started the Theory channel, is I like to kind of examine what's a little bit below the surface and try and come up with what potentially could be hidden behind it. So it's something that's intrigued me, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing that. That
moth battle was absolutely incredible.
I was completely in the zone. I was just like, they're not moths, they're just targets at this point.
Yeah. And hit everyone spot on. I didn't actually see, I didn't have the combo visible. Did you get a combo on a lot of them?
I think I missed that one at the end.
Did you get the gap between the combos is progressively smaller the more you hit in a row?
Yes, he was ever so slightly further removed from the group, so I couldn't quite get to him in time. I think I got it was. I think it was either an 8 or a 9. I'm not sure. On that combo. Keep going this way. There's a dead end.
This is moth country.
Yeah, and now I've started thinking of them as moths. I keep missing. It's like my mortal enemy is the moths, and occasionally the moles. But I think it's because they both start with an MO.
Oh, Significant Jelly Bean is asking, or is rather saying, it's a shame, as it's something to look forward to about the lore and the backstory. You can actually, if you maybe start examining the Kickstarter page to start with, you can start to unravel little pieces of it, and you might be surprised how deep the rabbit hole goes while you're researching that. There's more than just what's on the face of it.
Yeah, I mean, even what I've found just so far is actually quite a bit deeper than I was expecting it to go. I wasn't expecting as much as has actually kind of been put into it. Like on the Kickstarter page, if you look at some of the posts and updates that Nick has put out, there's 1 or 2 little hints as to what the background could contain. I don't want to reveal too much because I want people to kind of go and look at it for themselves as well, but there's just these little teasers as to what we could end up seeing. Which has really got me quite excited to kind of look at this in a bit more depth, but it's something I'm going to have to wait for until the game comes out.
Yeah, indeed. I'm not spoiling it for everyone, not even you. Just bring up the map for a second, because it looks like quite an interesting layout of the map on this one. Yeah, you start at one side, then you go all the way to the end, and then go back on yourself underground.
Yeah,
people have noticed, but the areas at the top of the map are always open air, and the further down vertically you go down a map, the darker it gets. So those rooms at the bottom in the dark they're going to be the ones that are really dark and there's not any light in them.
Yeah, it's quite a nice touch having these differently lit areas depending on where you are geographically, in relation to the height in the level, which is it's just one of these nice little touches that makes everything feel really well rounded. Really,
yeah.
That just.
He doesn't go at you. Wow, that was lucky. He nearly came to you a second time.
If he had, I'd have. There we go.
There he goes. Doesn't stand a chance. I need to make that combo timer box bigger. I did not plan it well enough.
You didn't
the size of that combo box, because if you get 10 times, it doesn't fit in properly.
You didn't think anyone would get into the double digits?
No.
Yeah, I think the highest combo I've managed is about 15, but that requires a fair amount of luck. I'm not big
yeah,
hit by
it's
moles.
quite fun planning out these combos before you do them.
I wasn't expecting to be there. But yeah, you're right. It does take a fair bit of planning out to kind of get these the combos in. I find the boss encounters probably one of the easiest ones. Ah, there we go. The boss encounter is probably one of the easiest places to get those combos for me, just because I like to kind of air juggle them with the ice power. It's just kind of fun and satisfying to do, and that's a word I've seen people describe Eagle Island quite a lot, is satisfying, and it 100% is. Managing to pull off a combo like that, it's such a great feeling, because you know it's taken a bit of skill and forethought to do it, and it's nice to see kind of that rewarding feeling of, yeah, I've actually done something quite well there.
Yeah, good.
Ah, no!
Oh.
Every so often I make a mistake of letting go of the direction before the attack.
Yes, that's something that needs a little bit of work, to be honest, because a few people struggle with that, and some people simply don't get it straight away.
Yeah, it's. I mean, when I first played it, took me a couple of attempts to kind of get it, really, and it was helpful that you were kind of there to explain it as well. that was quite helpful.
Yeah, it's a fine line, because if I make it so it's a bit more forgiving, it means it's very difficult to go back to fire horizontally after you fire vertically,
Right.
without it delaying, because the game won't know if you're trying to revert back on purpose or by accident. So that would take quite a lot of refining to fix that.
Yeah, so I suppose that's something that you've always got to keep in your mind, is any changes that you make, how could it affect the balance in terms of the gameplay aspects for the controls, and what repercussions would it have for your control over Quill and Koji?
Yeah. Kieran's saying he never realised he could juggle the boss when it's frozen, and he always just runs away and panics. Which is never. As soon as you start panicking in the boss room, you're done for.
Yes, the first couple of times I encountered the boss, I was doing the panic jumping, so I was trying to jump to get away, but he's quite effective at interrupting a jumping pattern. He kind of jumps at points where you'd typically jump to dodge, so you can't rely on that. So as you see, what I tend to do is, if you can get beneath them and freeze them, it makes them a lot easier to deal with, but it does mean you need to plan ahead. Like you see here, I'm coming to a boss room and I've got all of my gem slots full.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know I'm in a good position to kind of deal with this. The other way you can do it is, if you're lucky and you come up to a room like this, get above them and throw down.
That's nice. It looks impressive when you do that as well.
So I thought either method is good. If you get into a room where you've got a high ledge like this, perch on it, and when they get near you, jump and throw down. If you get beneath them, throw upwards. It's probably the best way of dealing with them, if you're not sure of how kind of the jumping is going to work to dodge them, which I sometimes have an issue with, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Joe is saying, am I planning to show the game off at any more events? In the immediate future, no. There's a couple in America coming up, which I might be able to go to, which are quite exciting. They're quite big ones, probably. But in the local area, there's nothing going on. And it all depends, of course, if I get funded or not. If the funding doesn't happen, there won't be really a game to show. And it seems like we're pretty stuck on funding tonight. I'm guessing that's because it's Friday night, and there's a fair chance that everyone's busy doing other stuff.
That could be the case, yes.
We haven't had a pledge since. When was the last pledge? 26 minutes ago.
Well, that's not too bad.
Not the end of the world. No, I thought it was long ago, but yeah, they should. Usually at this time of night, they all come in quite heavily, so when I get all of them in.
Right.
Friday is obviously not good.
It's when everyone's out spending money in the pubs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, instead of on Kickstarter.
Well, I will have this stream up on YouTube as a video as well, so it'll be available for anyone to go back and watch. If you want to hear any of the questions that Nick has answered again, if you want to hear any of his answers, it will be available on YouTube as a full video. So I'll probably share it out on Twitter once I've got it published. It'll probably be tomorrow, I should think it'll be out.
Excellent. Kieran says, how to Eagle Island 101 with Pro Welshie. So you have been upgraded to a Pro. That's good.
Fantastic. I shall wear that badge with pride.
You have the Kieran seal of approval.
Fantastic. I might have to change my YouTube channel name to Pro Welshie now.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's official. Joe's saying about the good old sit on the spawn point sort of glitch, as it were. I'll get that fixed. To be honest, the bosses in the actual game are going to be much bigger, sort of large, classic, old-fashioned bosses, rather than these little ones. These enemies are actually recycled from an older version of the game, and I just quickly put them in for a sort of challenge at the end. But they may appear as a mini-boss in a slightly weaker form in the end game. Jellybean says, his friend who likes owls says it's amazing, so that's good. Make sure you show them the Kickstarter page.
Brilliant.
And if you both pledge, of course, if you say that you referred, one referred the other, you're in a chance of designing a monster and winning the competition to design a monster for the game.
Which is pretty cool, actually. I'd love to be able to design a monster for the game. I just
well,
need
if you refer someone to pledge, then you can...
I will do. I'll if I have to, I will sign Yuri, my puppy, up to Kickstarter, and she will pledge.
Does she have a credit card?
Not in her name, but she can borrow mine.
Oh, that's debatable ethics.
Don't question ethics with me. But yes, I mean, I have referred it to a couple of people I know on Twitter. There's a couple of guys at work who are downloading the demo over the weekend to try, so hopefully they'll be pledging as well.
Excellent.
And then I'm actually going to send it to my sister because she has a thing for owls.
Good.
So I'll see what she thinks of it as well. I'm sure she'll love the idea of being able to... Oh no, I fudged that. Never mind.
I love the spam of feathers just come flying out.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful snowfall of feathers there. It's fantastic.
And Koji regrows them very quickly, fortunately, if he doesn't ever get too caught out.
Yes, yeah. That'd be sort of the ultimate challenge mode, would it? Where if you spam them too much, he kind of molts and his flying gets slower and slower.
Cut chicken on the floor.
Yeah. Is that going to be a new plushie, just bald Koji?
It would be a bit sad, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Interestingly, I've never seen anyone do the same... that was the technique I used, standing underneath them and firing up.
Yeah,
very often.
It's something I experimented with early on, but I kept getting the timing wrong, so I tended to jump above them and throw down, or jump to the side and throw sideways.
I'm actually going to put this live stream on Kickstarter. I wonder if I can embed it on the Kickstarter page so people can actually watch it right now.
Oh dear.
Let's have how long are you planning on going on for? Because if I can embed this, that'd be pretty good.
I'm probably going to keep going for a while. I'm actually having an absolute blast playing this again.
Oh, I think it does. It lets me embed it on the actual Kickstarter page.
Oh, fantastic.
Good. Let's do that then. That should. I mean, there's currently 26 people on that Kickstarter page. So they're obviously coming in thick and fast. And if they can watch it live now, that could be the difference between... See how that looks. What does it actually show them? So if they go on that page from seeing nothing, they get a live Q&A with Pixelnicks.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's good, because if anyone visits the Kickstarter, they'll be able to see kind of what's happening live, which is good. They'll be able to see it in action.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if the view count starts going up.
Let's see now, yeah.
I'm not sure. Not sure if you embed it somewhere else, it still shows you the live stream. Oh, it still counts to the watching now number.
It should do, because you can embed in multiple places.
But I think YouTube works. It doesn't count views if it's embedded. I think it's actually a different counter, from what I've heard from someone.
Possibly, but I'm not sure, to be honest. I am not a live streaming veteran, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I just do it now and again for fun, really. Which is part of why I tend to do YouTube rather than Twitch. Is because I know on Twitch there's all sorts of things with bit rates and so on that subscribers or people who pay get a better quality of stream, whereas YouTube doesn't tend to have that limitation on it.
Yes. Yeah.
I've just noticed the audio starting to go a bit funny again, so I will restart the game after this run through. So, just while you're typing there, Nick, Significant Jellybean has asked if you're planning on releasing on Steam. You did get the game greenlit on Steam, so I think your plan was to release on Steam, PC and Mac. Is that right?
That is correct, yeah.
So there you have it.
Oh, are you still there?
I'm still here, yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry, no, my computer started loading loads of things at once. I didn't know I got lost.
Yeah, I'm just a bit focused on making sure I don't make any major mistakes at the moment, because I think I've just got that final boss room to get to, and then I've completed the run through.
Right, I posted that on the page saying we're live right now on YouTube. Hopefully, and I said you can only text chat if you click through to the YouTube page. I think that's correct.
Yeah, it's probably they'll probably see better quality or lower latency if they're direct in the YouTube stream rather than an embedded source, I would have thought anyway. Like I said, it's something I've never tested. I've never embedded it elsewhere, so I don't know how it affects the overall quality. I can't imagine it'd be that different.
No, I imagine it'd be more or less. I mean, it's the same player, isn't it?
Yeah, it might just be slightly delayed, perhaps, compared to watching it on the YouTube site directly, maybe.
But good, yeah. So there's currently on the Kickstarter page 25 people viewing it, which is a pretty good number in my opinion.
That's not bad at all.
So fingers crossed they come and have a look. But yeah, the number's not going up, so I reckon they might be watching, but it might not be counting them.
Possibly, yeah, could be the case.
And we haven't had anyone new say hi in the chat either.
No.
Anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, because that is why I'm here today.
Yeah, by all means, that's why I invited Nick to the live stream today, so that he'd be able to answer questions that anyone may have about the Kickstarter, about the game itself, or just development processes, anything really. I suppose you'd be quite happy to go through.
What happens if you reach 1,000 seed points? Does it stop at 999? Yes, it does. It's currently capped at 999, just so it fits in. So I learned the hard way with the combo timer, with the combo counter, about that. But I don't know how that'll work in the full game. You probably won't get anywhere near that many coins, because the chests will be more expensive, so you can't get them as easily. Indie Game Discoverer says, hey. So,
hello, Indie Game Discoverer.
Indie Game Discoverer has retweeted me very kindly quite a lot on Twitter recently. That's very much appreciated. All the support we can get is very much appreciated.
Absolutely. The more support that Nick gets, the more likely we are to see this game backed on Kickstarter and getting made in the future, which
Yeah,
I'll be honest, I really want to see.
We are so close to getting there. It's pretty nerve-wracking, but fingers crossed we can. We're over 17,500.
Fantastic. So you are getting there.
One little pledge at a time. That's how it works.
Yeah. One of those pledges will be, at some point you'll hit that last pledge. That'll be the one that pushes you through target.
Yep, and I have to have a very big thanks to that person, whoever it ends up being that gets me over the 20,000.
It'll be me. I'll wait until you're really close and then up my pledge.
Yeah. Indie Games Discovery is asking how many levels you plan. So there's going to be 9 themed areas, ranging from the forest to the mines to the mountains to the tombs, and they'll play out one by one in a story mode. And once you defeat the story, like the main game, you can go back to them harder modes and speedrun modes and challenge modes to really get the most out of your gameplay. So because they're procedurally generated, the game is in theory endless. And there's all kinds of extra challenges you can go on the end to prolong how long the game is.
That sound is starting to really drop a bit. I will restart after I've beaten these bosses. If I beat these bosses, shall we say.
He'll be fine, Indie Game Discovery is giving us support, saying he or she is sure we'll do it. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, and I don't know why I'm saying thank you. I'm not the one making the game.
No, but you get to play more live streams if it gets made. So.
This is true. I'll get to do more live streams of the game. I think we've got a Mexican standoff here, Nick.
Star Turbo asked a question, but I'm afraid I missed it. So you can just post it again, please. Or I can scroll up and see if I can spot it. He started watching a bit late. Is there any possibility there could be an editor in the game? Probably not. That's an interesting question. It wouldn't be so much a level, but you'd be able to, in theory, I'm not going to add this necessarily, but in theory we could do it so you could set the rooms in the layout you want and then click through random ones till you pick a room that you like the layout of, because it's all procedurally generated. But yeah, in theory we could do something, but it almost certainly won't come with release just because it would take quite a while to put that in. But that would be quite an interesting feature to make one to challenge your friends with.
I'm just going to restart the game now to clear the audio.
That's fine, that's understandable.
There we go, that's fine, that's good.
Nice and clean.
I have had to close the chat window as well, because I did have that open on my screen, so I'm wondering if closing Chrome might help reduce the number of times I get the high CPU usage warning.
Yeah, Chrome does use a surprising amount sometimes.
Yes, well I found because I've got a couple of Chrome extensions and plugins, it loads them all as separate tasks in the background. And I get why Chrome does it, but I imagine it probably isn't doing any favours for live streaming. I'm one seed off. I'll have to find one somewhere. There we go. Right, there we go. I've got plenty now, so I'm going to go back and get that chest and see what's in there.
Joe Lark just rightly said one of the reward tiers is a level seed, which is a you won't get to design it as such, but it'll be a level that's always the same every time, and it has your name, your theme you liked, and the setup you wanted, depending on which seed you go for in the reward tiers, which is quite nice because yours might be the level that everyone decides to speedrun because it's perfect for speedrunning. But everyone who plays the game will be able to play exactly the same level layout, which is randomly generated, and it will have your name attached to it, or whichever name you want attached to it, along with the theme and such that you like. So that's a pretty good then.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So it's not full on designing it, but you do get to influence aspects of what is generated within it, and you name it yourself. Then is that it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. If I'm just bring up the Kickstarter page now to read it accurately to make sure I don't lie to anyone. So I have said that the basic level seed, the standard one you can get, is You get to name it. Now, I've said it's probably going to be 5 minutes long, but I think that's actually an understatement after seeing how long it takes to get through these levels. So it will probably, in all honesty, be longer than 5 minutes. And you get to choose the difficulty of that level. So it'll probably be a level that's similar size to the standard ones in the demo. A big level seed will be much longer, and it can go through multiple themed areas, and it can be of a harder difficulty setting, and it can have obstacles in it, such as switch doors. We have to hit targets in certain order to open them, to find keys to open them, and such like that, to make it a bit more interesting. The next level seed is the super level seed, which is larger again, has multiple themes. It can be difficult, have a high difficulty, and it will have a boss battle at the end of it as well, which will be one of the bosses you can pick from the main game, just to make it extra special at the end. And if you happen to have quite a lot of money in the bank, you can have a dungeon, which is basically any size you want, any themes you want, and you get to design your own boss with me. So you get to design your own boss at the end of it, basically, which is unique to that one level in the game, which is pretty exciting. And Joe, like you said, there's other rewards where you can design your own monsters as well, and such. Pretty good. Which some people have taken, so it's pretty good.
I do think that's a pretty good reward, personally, being able to kind of contribute designs and even just little ideas like that, like picking the kind of background and theme for the levels. Because I think it's nice to feel kind of involved with the kind of development cycle of a game in that way.
Yeah, it's good fun. And it means there's a bit more variety, and when you play it, you can show off to everyone, show off to your friends that was the one you designed as well.
Yes, yeah, and I don't think it's quite enough to put on a CV if you want to be a game designer, though, is it? But,
it's a start. It's a start. You've got to start somewhere.
Yes, yeah. So I suppose on your CV, you know, if you go for the tier where you can design a monster in the game, you know, put that on. Oh yeah, game design. I designed some creatures for Eagle Island.
Yeah. Joe has noticed that the key feature was actually in an early version of the demo we played at Winchester Comic Con, but I removed it because it doesn't always spawn near the door it's used on, which means you might have to go right back to the beginning of the level if the locked door is at the end. So temporarily they've been removed until I can fix it, so they always appear near the door, so you don't end up running around everywhere trying to find it. Sharktooth Man says hey, and I say hey back.
Hello.
He's very chatty on Twitter with me, doing lots of helpful retweeting.
Excellent.
And he did a video as well on Twitter, I believe. On YouTube, sorry.
Oh, great. I'll have to... I've actually been trying to keep up with some of the videos on YouTube. It seems to have done quite well. There's quite a lot of YouTubers, both small and large, have started or have done videos and features on it. So I think that just is kind of testament to the wide appeal that this game has.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. My favourite one came out this morning, which is one of the motion capture, not motion capture, but like facial recognition cats.
Oh yes, I think.
And that guy's playing a really good little cat character while he's playing it.
Looks like using either using it or something similar, face rig. I think.
Yeah,
it's called,
something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's something I've actually got. It's something I bought when it was in early access still. I've just never tried using it on a live stream.
Sharkman really hopes you get the funding, and he's loving how many people have been getting into it recently, and it's very good, especially how many people are helping on Twitter, getting the word around. It's very difficult for one person to do it, so everyone helping is really appreciated.
Yes,
my notifications are going crazy. I get sort of multiple notifications every minute of just people retweeting and liking stuff. It's absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I have to say it's not something I envy you doing, because a lot of the Kickstarter games tend to be small teams rather than an individual doing it all.
Yes.
So I think in that regard, it's quite impressive just how kind of how much you've updated the Kickstarter and kept kind of grown a community. There is an Eagle Island community now.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Which is
I need to have a
fantastic.
little messaging board just so we can
Yeah, definitely.
keep contact. Yeah, just saying these messages in the comments there if you'd like some sort of message board or some way we can communicate, and that would be pretty good. We can track the bugs and such, get it all fixed up.
And I think it's just impressive how, and it's again, it's kind of a good indication of the appeal of this game, that a community has built up and the game isn't even out yet. It's still in early alpha and demo form, and what's here is brilliant, but there's such a community built up for a game that hasn't had a full release. It's really quite nice to see, I have to be honest.
Sharktooth Man has successfully defeated all 3 bosses at once.
Oh, that's impressive.
Congratulations.
I ran out of...
Oh, and Joe's friend Dimitri got blocked. They blocked the game for playing it in school.
Oh dear. That's a sign that you're close to making it, I think, is when it gets blocked.
I did suggest trying to change the file name, but that didn't work.
Ah, unfortunate.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'll go this way.
Oh, I'm watching the wrong version of the game. I'm a little bit confused.
Oh, right, yes.
I've got 2 versions up. I've got the live version and a version that's about 10 seconds off on YouTube, and I was watching the one that was a little bit off.
Yes, yeah. So I've for anyone watching the stream, I'm currently sharing my screen with Nick, so that he can see kind of live what I'm doing. So if I react to something, he's not 10 seconds later going to go, "Oh yeah, I see what you did there." So it's just so that he's kind of got that kind of zero latency feed going on, so he's better able to keep up to date with what's happening.
Yeah, but it's quite easy to watch the wrong one by accident.
Yes, yeah. Well, it probably doesn't help that I've got the game up and then I've got my encoder software up at the same time, so I'm kind of doubling it up on the screen at the minute.
Yeah. Mine looks similar to that, but I've got one that's about quite a way off as well. Could you add a dash feature for Quill? Actually, Quill never gets any upgrade throughout the entire game. He remains exactly as he is from the beginning to the end, which is simply running and jumping. And that is intentional because he is just a regular boy, and Koji is the special one. That's one of the things that's quite different from newer games as well, because typically you do get sort of like super powered up as your main character, but if Koji gets taken from you, you are a bit screwed. So if an enemy captures him temporarily, you're going to be in trouble.
So that's something I found with those stomp bears, is if you mistime the attack and hit them while they're kind of in their invulnerable state, it takes Koji a second or two to recover so that you can attack again. So you kind of have to rely on dodging and fleeing from them. You can't do anything until Koji's back with you.
That's it, yeah. And some of these ROM will actually capture Koji for a few seconds. So imagine like a slightly larger version of these plants that eat him for a second, if you time it wrong.
I think that'll add something interesting to the game. It's going to kind of make you more attached to Koji, the fact that you're defenseless without him, essentially. And I mean, at the moment, I kind of throw him around with complete abandon. I'm not too worried, but I know that, you know, if I lost him, I'm going to have a much harder time of being able to kind of keep myself alive and actually progress anywhere until he's come back to me. So it's going to add a little bit more of a strategic edge to certain rooms, I think, in how you approach them.
Yeah. Sharktooth Man says he was hoping Quill could hold on to Koji and pull him forward like a dash. Yeah, it's going back to sort of like old school roots when game controllers only had 2 buttons, or only had a few buttons. And I'm trying to stick with that, where there's only actually 2 main action buttons, which are jump and attack. And it's all about learning sort of precision control with the character as he currently is. So the player himself gets better at playing the game rather than relying on the character getting more power-ups. Which is, yeah, I mean, it's something we haven't seen so much in recent years, but that's how sort of computer games used to work 20 years ago. Or more than that, sadly, actually. More than 20 years ago. That's quite a long time.
So, what was actually your first game then, Nick? What was the first kind of gaming experience that you had?
I first had an Atari 2600.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, but I didn't really get into it. I was very young, and it was a bit too difficult. So, I mean, those games were hard. Partly down to bad design, and partly down to the fact you just had a really stiff joystick and one button. And they weren't great. But then I got a Super Nintendo, so Super Mario World was my first sort of real game. Like not modern, but sort of like a game that's actually like a full-size game that you played for a long time.
So something that's kind of recognisably a game going by our current kind of standards, really. But yeah, I mean, the Super Mario games, I never got that into them because I never had a Super Nintendo myself. We went the Sega route with the Mega Drive.
2 seconds. Jack, I've seen your question. I'll answer it in a minute when we finish mentioning the older games. Yeah, sorry, go on. You had Mega Drive.
Yeah, so my brother, my older brother, got a Mega Drive for Christmas one year with Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one. So this would have been about 1991. We did have a couple of consoles before that, but I was never really that into them, I suppose. But Sonic was really my first game experience that kind of stuck with me, and I wanted to just keep coming back to it. So I'm kind of a fan of the 16-bit era, but more from the Sega side of things. So I never quite had the Donkey Kong Country experiences. It was all Sonic the Hedgehog and the occasional Wonder Boy.
It's surprising how different the two consoles were, the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo, in terms of the style of game that came out.
Yeah, and even the games that came out that were common across the platforms were quite different experiences. Like Mortal Kombat came out on both, but there were differences between the two. Like I think if I'm remembering rightly, I think the Mega Drive version had the full blood effects turned on, but the Super Nintendo one didn't.
That's correct, yeah. Nintendo didn't let it pass.
Yeah, so the Mega Drive one...
Jack is asking, so I better get to Jack's question
before
we do them. Did you decide to do an hour game first and then the game mechanic? Or did you think a mechanic of hour throwing first? It didn't start out as that at all. It started out as guns, like a sort of like science fiction game, which then morphed to more of a Mario style, where we had the eggs that hatched into birds that you threw, and they exploded quite violently. And then we changed it to Koji the Owl, who returns to you over and over to make it a bit friendlier. So we wanted a loyal sidekick rather than disposable weapons. So he's really part of the story now, and he really gets involved, and you grow attached to him throughout the game. So that was actually quite late in development that he turned into an owl. I say late, it was still a very long time ago now, but in terms of how the game's moved, it was quite late. Star Turbo is also a Sonic fan. Major Disappointment asks if there's going to be a snow zone to signify the halfway point. The snow level is 2/3 of the way through, to be precise. If you look at the map of the island, which has been posted on a Kickstarter update a few times, in fact it's at the beginning of the trailer as well, you'll see there is a snowy mountain top, which is about 2/3 of the way through the game. Would there be a water mob, like a piranha that swims to the top when you go in water? Yes, that's one of the enemies that is in the game, but isn't enabled in the demo, simply because it hasn't been balanced very well yet, and it makes some of the areas too difficult, but that is in the game. Are there more zones than in the demo? There are 9 zones in total, but most of them haven't been made yet because I don't have the money to make them. The backdrops are very expensive. They cost up to and over $400 each, which is why the Kickstarter funding goal is so high. And yet Jack says thanks for answering his question. Yeah, if you have any other questions, just ask.
I do wonder if sometimes I don't know if it's clear to the average person just how much time and money is involved in game development. I think sometimes with certain styles of games, there's this perception that it must be fairly easy to do, which I think can be a bit unfair. So, like, for example, a 2D game like this, there could be a conception of, oh, why does it require so much money? It's not a full 3D game, but I don't think it's that perception is necessarily fair to how much work and time artists and developers and coders, sound designers actually have to put in to get something like this out. And that's where I think sometimes it can fall down a bit, is just that incorrect perception.
Yeah, and I'm actually, the money being raised on Kickstarter is almost all not going to me, it's all going to my contractors. So about half of it's going to the backdrops, the big beautiful backdrop pieces. A ton's going to the character design, the composer, the boring legal fees. And I'm actually only taking a very small amount so I can have 1 month off work. I'm doing the rest of all the work of this for free, basically, as it were. So if we factored in my own time as well, it would be completely unaffordable to get Kickstarter. We wouldn't have to get it. So I'm actually doing all my part for free, as it were.
Yes, and you've got a graphic on your Kickstarter that kind of breaks down quite nicely how the Kickstarter funding would be used and what's going where, which I think is kind of a comforting thing for backers to see, so they know exactly what is involved with what they're backing.
Yes, yeah, and I'm trying to be completely transparent. 20,000 is not much for a complete game, indie game discovery says. Which you could say that, but when you're asking people for money for a game they can't actually see, it is a lot, especially for an individual like myself to raise. It is, well, as you've seen over the last month, it's been an absolute struggle to try and raise that much money. So it's a bigger company might find it too difficult to get that funding, but it's been excruciatingly difficult for me.
Yeah, it must be quite a different journey to follow as an individual compared to being part of a larger development team or a large group, because you're obviously having to deal with all of the marketing, trying to get the word out there, managing the Kickstarter updates, the development. You're trying to handle all of that by yourself, and I can't imagine just how much time and energy would have to go into that. It must be something that you've obviously had to put a lot of your personal time into.
Yeah, and I'm definitely ready for bed when the campaign's over.
Sleep for a week, is it?
I've been working full time at my normal job while the Kickstarter's running, and I've been going to bed at approximately 3 a.m. every morning. So I go to bed at about 3 and I get up at 7:30. To sort of manage the American side of the campaign while still doing my full-time job, so I don't run out of money in the real world, which has been... I'm pretty tired, but hopefully it will be worth it. The pledges are slowly coming in this evening, which is good.
That's good, excellent.
Pledges will be coming through.
I think what I'll do is once I finish this run through, I'll just restart again to make sure I've cleared the audio. And for anyone who hasn't, who's only more recently joined, I can't see the figures at the minute.
It's 16 and watching now. We've had 18 likes overall.
Oh, that's good. It's more to do with my processor at the moment is under a lot of strain with encoding the stream, broadcasting it, the Skype call with Nick, sharing my screen with Nick as well. So it's occurring more frequently for me just because of the amount of work my PC is doing. So. But I'll restart once I've done this, and I'll probably do a couple of run-throughs of the standard mode as well, just to kind of give a flavour of what some of the slightly shorter levels feel like. I say shorter a bit loosely because they can still take up to sort of 10 minutes to complete.
Yeah, to explore one fully can take just over 10 minutes if you're taking it casually. It's quite a nice time for a run on the game though, if you've only got a little bit spare time. Indie game discovery is saying that 20,000 is the harder part, but it runs out quickly. It costs a lot quickly. I've planned it all out. My artists know exactly how much work's required. My composer knows how much work's required, and my creature character designer knows how much work's required. So that is how much the game will cost, plus a small buffer just in case anything else pops up at the end. So it's all planned out, and it's the right amount to make the game in its whole.
There we go, that's what I was after, those hidden seeds in the wall cavity there.
Someone has supposedly posted it on Mario Fan Games Galaxy.
Excellent.
I can see where people visit the Kickstarter page from, so it gives me a little bit of information.
So you can kind of see where the links are taken from.
I'm just going to go there and see what people might be saying about it. Spot it in the forum. Oh, here we go. Really digging the sprite work in this game, Eagle Island.
Very good. I do love the sprite work.
Yeah, lots of clear references to Mario, the piranha plants and mushroom guys.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you're going.
Oh, well, yeah, they're not keen. They think it's going to fail. That's great.
I think it's fair to say there's been more positive things said about the game than negative, certainly from what I've seen.
Sorry, they did post that 1 week into the campaign. So. But it looked okay at that point. It's only in the middle of that. What people saying? They do like it. They're actually saying it reminds them of people like I don't know if it's Cognac or Cognac. But he does rather impressive work. He is a notch above me, I'll admit that. Again, there's the references to Owlboy. Great.
I've never quite understood that because they're
there's an owl and a boy, isn't there? So.
Well, I thought Owlboy was a boy who was an owl, whereas this is a boy with his owl. It's quite a different
I'm
style
so glad
of game.
I didn't put the word owl in the title of the game, because that would have really killed me.
Owl Island, yeah. But yeah, I think it's again is with that it's just people making an assumption based on the fact that there's like a single common element visually is that there's an owl.
Yeah, so someone's actually just commented on this forum post quite an interesting thing that no one's brought up yet. Everyone is gushing about the art, but I can't help but love the camera. I put quite a lot of time, to quite a lot of days to get the camera right. And in my opinion, a right camera is one that you don't notice doing its job. I've missed a few questions, so I'll just catch up with those. Jack says, did you do the development while working full time? Yes, I'd done everything in the evening after work. He struggles to find the mental energy. All I can say is perseverance. If you pick a project you absolutely love, then you will have the energy to do it. But no, it's not easy at all. It's really stressful. I know in an ideal world I'd do it full time, and that's the dream. Joe asks, what the lowest amount of rooms that a boss... what is the lowest amount of rooms that the boss room can spawn away from... Oh, I see. He's asking how far away can the boss be. It always picks the furthest away point on the map, but that depends on how many sort of rooms come off the main rooms and such. So I haven't actually calculated what the shortest would be. It could be fairly close. It depends. It depends on the configuration of the level. There's quite a lot of parameters I can put in the background to vary that. Kieran says he's played the demo a dozen times, but never realised there's hidden stuff in the walls. And I'd say that's my fault because it isn't obvious enough. And I'll make it more obvious in future versions.
So I'll actually just show you here while I'm there. Just above where Koji's flying, there's a rock that's an ever so slightly different colour to the rest of the wall. It's got a slight highlight to it. Just there. So that's where the hidden items are within the walls.
And that is inspired by Castlevania, where, for reasons unknown, there are nice cooked hams waiting in the wall to restore your health.
Do you mean you don't store your food in the walls?
I personally don't, but apparently ancient skeleton castles, Dracula castles, that's where you keep your cooked hams.
No, I tend to keep like dried goods in the walls, like tins of beans, but not a ham.
Joe has just noticed that one of the bosses is red and the others aren't. The red one is the one that dives underground and also spits rocks out when he jumps up. Minor disappointment, never had trouble spotting them walls. It will, because they're so subtly different, it depends on your monitor, how good your monitor is, and other elements. It does need to be more obvious. That will change in the future, and there'll probably be less of them as well. Make it so some walls have enemies. Oh, you mean so enemies jump out of the wall? I could do that, that'd be quite funny. So you just get ready to restore some health and an enemy pops out. Yeah, I quite like the idea of that. Sharktooth's never noticed the red and blue, but I'm not sure what that's in reference. I mean, it's obviously... Oh, the bosses, of course, yeah. That was a little bit of a last minute fix, to be fair. Yeah, the red ones spit rocks out and the blue ones don't. We are £41 off 88% funded.
Getting closer.
Yeah.
Where am I going? I'm going this way. Whoa, that was good.
Christopher Lee has pledged, but I'm fairly sure it's not the one we were thinking of. Hearing them now realise there's rocks in the room, they're pretty obvious.
Oh, here's one. There we go. I've noticed you've been quite sneaky with those rocks, because I usually expect them in these, in the taller formations like this, but every now and again they're just in these little alcoves down here.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no!
Jump to get out of that one.
There we go. Oh, I thought it was stuck.
But yeah, they try and appear at a dead end where it might otherwise not have anything there.
So this is something that I was actually wondering about earlier, Nick, is obviously you said you've done this kind of change from the original thought, which was guns, did you say?
Yeah. So more of a Ratchet and Clank big guns feel.
Yeah. So what was it that kind of... I was going to say, actually, what kind of research did you do into making the decision for it to be falconry? Like, did you have to look into it? Is it something you haven't interested in yourself? What was kind of the trigger point for that?
Yeah, so I wasn't really so interested in it as a real world sport, but it transitioned slowly to a more cartoony style, and we had these little eggs and chicks that followed you around, and the guy had this special bird helmet, like this giant sort of like eagle helmet on, that allowed him to control the birds, and that's why he could use them, and they all made friends with him and they followed him. So he'd find eggs and he'd hatch them and he'd take the birds with him. And it was all a bit too magical how the game felt. I mean, it's magical now, but in a slightly more realistic sense than you've got a giant bird helmet on and you're controlling birds.
Yeah.
So we just sort of slowly morphed it away, and I'm not sure at what point it turned into falconry. I'm struggling to remember that, to be honest. Because I think, yeah, I'm not sure to be. I don't know when it turned into falconry instead of just lobbing things. I can't answer that. I don't know.
And with the falconry, why an owl and not a falcon?
It's a loyal friend. So in my opinion, the owl gives a really sort of friendly psychic vibe.
Yeah.
A falcon is much more aggressive, sort of like feel a bit more like a warrior, but an owl feels like a friend. That's why we went.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think an owl is quite a good kind of middle ground for that, because obviously they do have a very different appearance about them, but they are still birds of prey, and I think it's that kind of combination of, you know, friendship, kind of a cuddly look to an owl, but they are still predators at the end of the day as well. That's quite important not to lose sight of that. But it's nice that you kind of haven't made Koji look aggressive. He's definitely got this a more personable kind of feel about him as a character.
Yeah, definitely.
There we go.
Yeah. And then they're meant to be on like just a little sort of sidekick quest for the whole game, really, just like a boy and his sidekick. So rather than a boy and a weapon.
Yes, yeah. I think that you mentioned earlier, it's kind of you want to make it feel like, you know, he's your companion. It's something you don't want to lose. It's not disposable.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite an effective way of doing it, really.
Yeah. Joe's just brought up the quite frequent comment that is it animal cruelty, and the way I see it is falconry. The bird is choosing to be launched from your arm, and he's also choosing to come back and be launched again. And therefore, he must be enjoying it. Going back to the earlier question, in the snow zone, will the water be turned to ice and possibly have a snowman enemy? The water isn't planned to be ice, but a power up to the ice feather will allow you to create icebergs and water to get steps up to higher areas. And will there be snowman enemies? I don't. That would be quite funny. It may be a bit too. I don't know what the word is. The enemies in Eagle Island are quite natural, sort of like animals or sort of Pokemon-esque, sort of like magical versions of real-world animals, rather than snowmen.
Well, I mean,
there could have enemies that like hide and pretend to be snowmen, and then they jump out and get you or something. That'd be quite fun.
But just remember, there is a Pokemon that's essentially a set of keys.
There is also a candle.
Oh, is there now? I stopped keeping track after one of them turned into a hot air balloon or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I must say the Generation 1 are and Generation 2. That was where the best ones were.
Yeah, after that, I think. I mean, they basically turned the alphabet into a Pokemon. What are they called? Unknown. It's the alphabet. It's the alphabet with eyes.
Yeah.
Which way am I going now for the boss, I wonder? Not that way.
£35 off the 88%.
Getting closer, creeping closer.
I'll get to update the Kickstarter logo, which you might have seen I changed recently. Got a big % funded sign on it. And I'll also get to change it to the 72-hour countdown mark.
Oh.
Rather scary.
Yes, yeah, that's when it becomes very real, doesn't it?
When you start counting in hours instead of days,
yeah.
And hopefully I'm going to have to count in minutes, aren't I, in the last hour? That is a terrifying concept. I wonder if anyone would just miss pledging by a couple of seconds because they just found it existed 1 minute before the pledge time's up.
I think that's, I suppose that's a very real risk, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, Eagle Island is the first project I've actually backed on Kickstarter.
Lots of the backers are brand new to Kickstarter, I've noticed.
Yes, yeah. It's because I'd never even registered for Kickstarter until I'd heard about Eagle Island. So it's the first one I've backed, but then I almost feel a bit guilty for that because there's quite a few projects I've found that would have been interesting that I just didn't know about. But I'd not even heard of them on like Twitter or on YouTube or anything like that. And it's those kind of external sites from Kickstarter that drives people in. And I suppose having that kind of social media presence is really key to success. Obviously, having a good product behind it is the major factor, but being able to get the word out there is really going to be what drives the numbers in.
Yeah, and it's been absolutely exhausting doing that.
I bet it has.
I've missed quite a lot of chat. Someone's threatening me with the RSPCA. Ice cream Pokemon and such. Oh, and there's a chandelier. Yeah, the candle one turns into a chandelier.
Right. This is how out of touch I am with Pokemon now.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. Yeah, significant Jelly Bean just pointed out that if everyone has already pledged us up by £3, if everyone up by £4, everyone will get the soundtrack and we'd be funded.
Yep. I think it's slightly down from earlier because I think I calculated it at £3.76.
Kieran wants to up his pledge to get that sweet law book, which will be it will have details of all the background information that isn't necessarily very explicitly explained in the game itself. So that's going to have all the art as well in it, all the concept art and all the area explanations, all the enemy explanations, all the information that just simply isn't explained in the game will be in there, which is good for any real fans to get all the background info. And we might even put some development stuff in there as well.
I think that would be interesting to see. Just some of the development stuff in there as well.
I mean, that's not the focus. The focus is the ancient history on the island and the sort of like concept art and such. So, we might squeeze in some of the sort of like early versions of the game, early graphics and stuff as well, which people might find interesting.
Put them in as like faded photographs, so it looks like older photos of the island.
Yeah. Good idea.
But yeah, I'm actually quite looking forward to that lore book, so I can kind of get started on the Eagle Island theory, because I'm sure there'll be stuff in there.
There'll still be some bits for people to theorise, because that's always fun, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
The best bits are that you don't always know about.
Yeah, it's nice to have some mysteries left and some things that are open to interpretation that people can kind of put their own kind of thoughts on. Because this is something I've always enjoyed about making theories, is so long as there's evidence to support it, you can basically come up with anything that you like. And that's the approach I've always taken, is so long as there's something to back what I'm saying, then I can kind of take any approach that I like, which, you know, it's just a very nice way of kind of expanding and putting your own spin on an existing universe.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of what I'm going for with it. Christoph says, the animations look great. I appreciate all the little details. Good job. Thank you very much, Christoph.
I was going to leave them, but now they've just insulted me. Right, I'll go this way.
Star Turbo is asking, do I have permission to make an Eagle Island Discord server? I'll make it clear that it's unofficial, and I assume there is an official one. We were just discussing that earlier about getting either a forum or something set up so people can communicate as the game develops. I will make a decision on that later on. Obviously, I can't stop you doing what you want. You can create a Discord server, whatever you like, but I'd probably rather have it all centralised so there's not two different places. But I'll think about that and probably talk to people about what they want to do, because it might be easy if someone wants to run an official one. That might be quite a handy thing to do, but I'd have to have a proper think about that before making any decision on it. Joe says, is it all in the boy's mind to cope with the death of his pet owl? That is deep. That's proper indie game deep, that is.
Oh, that's That's bordering on map pack territory.
Sadly, there's no sort of mind tricks in the story. It's all happening, and it's all on this ancient island. Everything is literally happening in the game. That is a fact.
Yeah.
There's no sort of mind tricks going on.
I think it's sometimes a bit of a cop-out if at the end of the game or at the end of a film or TV series, it's all a dream. It feels like just sometimes it's a lazy way out. It can work, but I've never been that big fan of it.
Carter?
Which one? Agent Carter?
The Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
Oh, Vanishing of Ethan Carter, sorry. I haven't actually played it. It's been on my to-play for a while.
If it hasn't been spoiled for you, you'll love it.
It hasn't been spoiled for me. I've purposely tried to keep away from it.
For it is. It's a few hours long. It's maybe sort of 3 hours long, but and there's nothing to theorise afterwards. It does explain it all fairly clearly, but you won't see it coming.
I'll quite look forward to that one. But yeah, that's been on my to-play list for a while.
You do a good video of it if you recorded that video.
I'll have to give that one a try, I think.
You should add PDF copies of that travel booklet to the Kickstarter. So that will actually come up before the game's released, in slow increments, and it will all be available to everyone. And it will complement the release of the game when it's done. So the owls don't symbolise his parents. Quill, Koji, and Ichiro, when they arrive at the island, have never been there before, and they're not of any relation to anyone who's on the island when they get there. I assume you mean by the totems being the parents in that comment. But no, everyone who lives on the island before Quill and Koji get there are unrelated to them. Will the game be available on Linux? Yes, it will. It will be on Steam for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And hopefully a DRM-free site as well, like GOG. But that's subject to getting approved by them. That's out of my hands.
Keep the power-ups I've got. Okay.
We are £11 off, 88%.
Oh, that's so close now.
It is going up. People have got home from their pubs or whatever, and this last hour they've suddenly started pledging again. I'm not sure what happened in that sort of void where there was no one doing anything. Everyone suddenly jumped on it again. It's rather strange.
Let me see. What's on TV on a Saturday night? Friday night even.
It's probably Ant and Dec doing something.
Ant and Dec or reruns of Friends on Comedy Central.
Sorry?
Or it'll be reruns of Friends on Comedy Central.
Yeah, indeed. How old do you reckon Quill is? I've been asked that quite a lot. And he hasn't actually got a set age in the story. But it is assumed he's a younger teenager. But it never explicitly states that at any point. So it's kind of up to the player, really, how he perceives it. He's definitely not an adult. He is a child. Joe asks if the Big Eagle could be trying to protect the owl and is a good guy. Well, we'll just have to play the game and see. I'm not giving spoilers away for the end. Like King Kong. Joe thinks Quill is 14 or 15.
I feel like that could be a realistic kind of age bracket.
Or Joe just wants to see him as himself.
Oh, there could be that. Yeah, I see him as a 31-year-old.
Yeah.
just a clean-shaven 31-year-old.
Yeah. I'm being told off by mine at disappointment of having a loud keyboard. Unfortunately, I'm using my laptop's microphone, which is built in, and plugged into my laptop. I have a mechanical keyboard, which does have quite a loud keyboard. So I'll try not to type, but I am trying to promote this on Twitter while we're doing this chat to make sure people keep coming in and having a look. Kieran says, Amora's odd chain leash thing does make me think she was somehow mistreated by the ancient civilization. So they have to be giants to get the giant pet eagle. Indeed, yeah, they're very old chains, and Amora is very old herself. Significant jelly bean things. Ant and Dec Does Something is quite a good name for a program, and it pretty much sums up all their shows as well.
I always forget which one's which.
Ant's the one with black hair.
Oh right. Is he's the taller one of the two? Isn't
Yeah.
He? Okay, there we go. I'll forget by tomorrow.
Yeah, we always do. Yeah.
It's just one of those things that isn't that important in the grand scheme of things.
No, and I'm pretty sure like when they sign their contract, they come as one.
Yeah, they're a matching set, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, they can't be separated by more than 10 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I need that. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if people have been noticing in the stream, but I have to collect the seeds if they're dropped. I can't leave them behind.
That is correct. Yeah.
I just can't do it.
You know forever that you missed one, and you'll never be able to go back to that level and get it. You'll know for the rest of your life that you missed that seed, and it's never going to be collected by anyone.
Well, that's exactly it, because no one will ever play that exact level again, and it'll just sit there spinning for all eternity.
Yeah, it's a scary thought.
It's that concept of eternity that's the most terrifying.
Yeah, literally forever. You'll be lying on your deathbed one day and you'll be thinking that seed is there. It's still spinning at the bottom of a cliff somewhere in run 431 of Eagle Island.
I think it'll just be that thing. You're just lying in the hospital, the heart monitor going. You look towards the door and it just pokes it. It just kind of peeks around. Just this little seed just peeks around the corner of the door and backs away. Right, I'll just restart once more.
Sartobe said there's a forum for Eagle Island. Could I get the link? There isn't one yet. I'm thinking about what the best way of managing sort of demo feedback and stuff is. So it will either be a forum. Probably I'd rather a forum rather than a Discord server, because it's much easier to log and track things over a long period of time on a forum. Even if they are a bit old school, it's a bit easier for me to keep an eye on what's going on.
I think what I'll do, Nick...
Mora probably hates the humans for putting a chain on her. So, she kidnaps the other owl, thinking it's protecting it from the humans. Interesting theories coming out.
I do think that's quite interesting, especially with the style of the chains from the artwork that you've shared on Twitter and on Kickstarter, because it looks like there's kind of two links that are piercing Amora's wings.
Yes.
Which is quite painful, I'm sure.
Yes, the original concept art had a lot more blood on than the current one that got released, yeah.
So, when you see something like that, you can't imagine anyone or any civilization or individual that does that as being entirely benign.
But why would they want to do that to her? Why would they need to put that many chains on her?
Well, that's a very good question, and it's something I'm sure will keep me up at night for months to come until the game is out. It's
because someone just said Amora probably hates the humans for putting a chain on her, so she kidnaps the other. But why would they? Why would the humans need to put the chain on her?
Yeah, so this is the thing: is that what's the context behind it? Did they have a valid reason for doing it? Was this is pure speculation? Was she maybe causing problems for them in the past by being destructive? Because when you see her in the trailer, she looks like a big destructive force. But is that as a result of the change in itself that's made her this kind of appearing to be a force of destruction and anger and rage? Or was it some other reason? Were they harvesting giant eggs? We don't know.
Exactly, and that is one of the things that is never explicitly explained in the game story. So the game story does obviously revolve very, very heavily around Amora.
Yeah.
But the actual sort of context behind her is optional after the game. You can go back into various parts of the game and start to put pieces together that explain the reasons why in the past. And I think that's something that will quite interest people.
Yeah, it's something I'm definitely quite interested to see, and I love games that have this kind of hidden history behind them, where it's completely optional if you want to explore that, but it's there if you want it.
That's exactly what I'm going for, yeah. So the story will explain enough to satisfy you, but not enough to fill your curiosity. And so I'll just go back to the comments. Christoph is saying, I'm sure this was asked before, but discovering well-hidden secrets, rewarding extensive exploration, and trying out obscure areas in games is a big deal. Will we see such things? Yep. So there'll be like destroyable walls to secret areas. I was just saying just now about the icebergs, you'll be able to freeze to get steps up to higher up areas. But all of this will be procedurally generated, so I can't tell you exactly where or when you'll see these things, but there'll be obstacles in your way that cause you to do a bit of extra work to explore the game fully. Minor disappointment things are more as just showing off power, because she's so enraged from being chained up all this time. And the question is, who set her free and when? If she was chained up.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, exactly. As all this is sort of not touched on the immediate story. If you've got a giant bird of prey flying around, you probably would want to keep her under wraps. Yeah.
I'd be more concerned with if anyone used Amora for falconry, how big would that glove be?
That would be a very big glove. Joe thinks that the professor, Dr. Rornis, is the bad guy, and he has put chains on the eagle. But why?
Ooh. But then, maybe. But how old would that make Dr. Rornis?
Dr. Rornis is over 50.
Yes, but by how much? Is he like 1,000, or is he?
Oh no, he's not a mythical being. He is a doctor, an ornithologist.
Yes, yeah. I think. Yeah.
I'll add as well. There's actually 2 layers of history in the game. There's the ancient history, and then there's the sort of 10 years before the game starts history, and then there's the present day. And it all ties together to make the story.
I think that's quite interesting.
Joe's saying, maybe Dr. Rornis freed the eagle, and he's the reason the eagle is running loose on the island.
Now that to me sounds a bit more likely than him being the original prisoner, but I don't know. But that to me is quite feasible. Either released Amora or intentionally or accidentally, possibly. I don't know though. This is the thing. Everything that I can think of at the moment is pure speculation, really.
Yeah, well, it'll all be slowly released, leading up to the game's release from the travel brochure.
Yeah. The one with the coffee stains on it.
The one with the coffee stains on it, which I received in the post. And I'll be uploading bits of it as the game progresses, leading up to release, which may just unlock something within the actual game itself if you uncover all the mysteries. The eagle was the professor's pet. He could have been. I did say that the eagle is very, very old.
Yeah.
I'm just going to mute my microphone for 1 second, and I'll be back very shortly.
No problem. Just gotta love that little kind of kicking animation when Quill is going into the treasure chest. I think it's kind of cute. Nice little throwback to the Zelda games as well, Ocarina of Time, which Nick has mentioned before in a previous live stream I did on Eagle Island. But I do like how these all these kind of influences and kind of throwbacks to some of these previous games kind of come through, but have their own kind of little fresh spin on them. Hang on a sec. There we go. Let's just see. That's not gonna work. Okay, that's fine. Right.
And I'm back.
Welcome back.
The Konami code. Not sure what was discussed just before that.
Hang on. There we go.
Human doesn't normally feel bad for any of the mobs. You can tell how old someone is by whether they call an enemy a mob or not.
Yeah.
Doesn't usually feel bad for any of the mobs. Except for the mushrooms, because they bounce around the musical beats with their little I don't know what the symbol's called, the little triangle eyes. And Joe still misses the reverse bird. It's never going to die, is it?
I think it's as close to a meme as you're going to get from Eagle Island
Yeah.
at the moment. I do still think, like, I like the idea of it being in there as like an unlockable extra in the
Tell you what,
options.
there will definitely be a wall carving in one of the rooms that has a bird with the trails coming out the wrong way from his wings.
There has to be a reference to it somewhere. Absolutely.
Oh, there's more theories coming in. The humans chained her for a show of power. She's a giant eagle. And as the humans died off on the island, Amora was left for many years. The chains became weak and were broken. And then when Quill and the Professor arrived at the island, Amora wanted revenge and stole Quill's owl.
Ah, okay.
Good theory. Pretty good.
That's some pretty good thinking there, actually. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that would stand to reason, because depending on the age of the kind of the chains themselves, obviously they'd be subject to potentially rust and wear, so they'd break eventually. So yeah, I suppose that's pretty feasible.
Yeah. Or a statue, Joe says, but I'm not sure. Oh, I think the symbol is a circumflex. I don't actually. I'm gonna have to Google that because I don't know what that word means. Oh yes, the little triangle upward symbol. The Latin, Greek, and Cyrillic script. Oh no, there's information doesn't tell me much, but yeah, that is a circumflex. That's right. That is what the little happy eyes are in the mushrooms. Will there be NPCs in the final version, stores, village areas? There will not. The only humans on the island are Quill and Dr. Ornis. Will there be shops? There may be, not necessarily shops as such, but where the magpies guard the chests, there may be slightly more interactive versions of that. And mini games, such as you go into a room and you have to break all the targets in one combo and things like that, which would feel a bit more like you've gone into an area that's inhabited by someone, but it'll probably be by a sort of greedy animal type creature rather than a human. But that's not planned in full yet. So again, there is a hub world as well, which you explore, and that joins the level together.
Yeah, this map that generated is quite an interesting one, because I kind of started it near the centre, kind of both height and horizontally.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to work my way all the way back up again.
I don't actually know, where did you start, sorry?
In the room above
the
the
little
one I hadn't discovered.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that's where I started. So I kind of went to the left, and then I got the compass, and I saw all these treasure chests above me, but to the left, and I was like, oh, right, okay. I'm going to have to do a bit of backtracking on this one.
Yeah. Minor disappointment says, just finishing off the sentence, saying that the chains are weathered, and Amora is said to be ancient with red enraged eyes. Will there be challenge modes, e.g. a run without an owl? I hadn't thought of that specific one, but that's a good idea. But yes, there will be challenge modes that you can play after beating the game.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of having these additional challenges, additional modes. So I think one where you don't have Koji, so it's all based on dodging and jumping around, trying to avoid everything would be interesting.
I mean, it would be impossible the current way the enemies are generated. For example, with flower, the plant monsters always appear on the edge of cliffs, and you wouldn't be able to jump up, so I'd have to adjust that for it to work. But it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I suppose you'd have to make sure there aren't any rooms that lock where you have to destroy all the enemies.
And the bears, for example, could take up a whole corridor, so I'd have to very, very, very carefully plan that.
Yeah.
Kieran likes the idea more about the interactive magpie chests. Maybe something like picking one of two or three, like in Magpie. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. So yeah, you'd have to gamble which one you want. One's empty, one's got something good in, and one's got something bad in, that kind of thing.
I almost quite like the idea of like somewhere in the hub world there's like a big magpie nest, and when you open chests in one of the levels, more of them appear there, so you can get more rewards from them.
Sorry, can you say that again?
So like in the hub world, the hub of the game, there's like a magpie nest, and more of them appear there as you open more chests within the levels.
I see, they all flock to it.
So they all flock to it, and then they found more runes or more stuff for you to buy from them.
Oh, that's a nice idea. So they all start off with sort of like massive magpie civilization in a big room somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And now that's quite an interesting idea. I might, and encourages you to try and open everything.
It encourages you to explore and open more. And I think that this is something I personally don't feel this way, but I think I've seen one or two people suggest that if you open a chest that you and it's something an item that you kind of don't use, that you get some of your seeds back. But I wonder if that would be a better way of kind of feeling like you're still getting something out of it, is then a larger shop on the hub world that there's more magpies that upgrades as you go through the game.
The issue with the hub world shop is that you lose everything when you come out of a level and go into it.
Yes.
I'd have to rethink that, and I don't want many permanent power-ups. I want it to feel quite sort of traditional.
Sure.
Chris likes the idea of mini games. Again, they wouldn't be ones that force you to play them. They'd be optional, so they wouldn't annoy you if you didn't want to do them. You could go in a room, if you didn't fancy doing it, you'd be able to leave. Thanks for the good moderation. I don't know if that means us chatting to you guys or something to do with the game. Joe wants to have Magpie instead of Koji as an unlockable sprite.
Ooh.
He's a bit small, but that'd be quite funny. And then they have loads of Kojis on the chests. And they have to pay loads of Kojis on the chest. How many power-ups do you want to have? Will it be like Binding of Isaac? Yeah, the idea is there'll be a lot, and that you find new ones each time. But the exact number isn't planned, so I'm not going to pretend it is. Project MQ has just come back, and he's shocked that we're still going.
Yeah.
He needs to put up his Windows laptop so he can play. Have you played it yet? I don't. It's either going to be Malcolm or Marcus. I hope I've got those names right. I'm trying to do it off the top of my head. Let me just double check. Marcus and Malcolm, yeah. Which one of you is it? There. So I don't know who uses which account. And now Hawthorne Bunny wants the eagle to be unlockable as a sprite. That would be entertaining.
Takes up the entire screen.
Yeah.
Just it tries to land on Quill's arm and his arm just breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's the other Malcolm. Is there two Malcolms? Is there three? Is there Marcus, Malcolm, and Malcolm? One throw and you'd wipe out half the island's landmass. It is a very big island. If you look at the trailer on the Kickstarter page, you can actually see Amora on the cliff top, very small, only a couple of pixels high.
Yeah, I'm going the right way now.
Oh, he's the other Malcolm. In other words, Marcus. Marcus is very good at keeping me on track and giving me a telling off when I get to slack at doing things.
Yeah. There we go.
Joe wants a mini eagle, a little baby eagle.
Oh, I missed that one.
Oh, and now apparently it's Malcolm and Marcus. I've got really confused as to who it is. So let's just shoot. Oh, they're twins. Are they twins? I don't know. How many power-ups do you plan to... Is that the same question we just did and I didn't answer it very well? How many power-ups do you plan to have? Yes, it'll be along the lines of Binding of Isaac, where there's just so many you don't. It takes a long time to find them all. And but the exact number I don't know. Oh no, it is the same message. I thought we'd scroll down more. Did I answer the same question twice or not?
Possibly.
Yeah, and I thought they asked that a minute ago, but I think it's actually exactly the same question that I read. Yeah. Oh, they're identical twins. That's why I can't tell them apart. That's why I get so confused. And their parents really went to town and gave them both names beginning with M just to really confuse everyone.
Could have gone a step further, giving them the same name with different spelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Malcolm with a C and Malcolm with a K.
Yeah. $4,000 to go. I don't know what that is, but in English we've got. Oh yeah, we're at 88%. There we go. That's good. That is absolutely fantastic. £17,607.
That's good going. That's
Get
fantastic.
to 90% for the last 48 hours. That is going to be a real road to success. Should have no problem with it.
There we go, Copper's moths. The thing is, where my PC is positioned, it's kind of I've got a window just next to it, and I glance across, and there's moths hitting the window outside. So I'm looking across, and I'm mixing up fantasy and reality here.
Yeah, And they're probably flocking from all the heat from your processor, doing all this encoding and Skype calling and everything all at once.
Yeah, it's a bit more disturbing when one of them starts actually doing circles around the window.
Yeah, and you start trying to throw things at it.
Yeah, but
like
unfortunately I don't have any owls.
Yeah. If you get an owl plushie one day, you'll be able to get a little Koji plushie.
I'll probably throw it backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so this stream still says 12 watching, and I reckon it's more. I reckon the version embedded on the Kickstarter page, I don't think that counts towards our view count.
Yeah, it might not be...
I think it's the amount of people that are in the chat.
Yeah, it might not be showing the full total on there. Aha, there we go. It's a chest. Okay, there we go.
The stat on the Kickstarter page states that 98% of the projects that get to at least 60% of their total finally manage to get funded, which is encouraging. Yeah, depends on which point in the project they get to 60% though.
Yeah.
Eagle Island has consistently been lagging behind the sort of the funding position it should be at for a sort of clear win. So there's still no guarantee we'll get there, even at this point. But I'm positive still. It's looking good. It's looking much better than it was. I've been posting the charts on Twitter, showing how it's been going, and it was not looking promising about a week and a half ago. But Cinemassacre did a video, and then a series of other big YouTubers did, and that really turned things around.
Yeah, it's it does seem to be very much a case now that YouTube is a big source of advertising for a lot of developers and indies and Kickstarters and so on. You get a couple of big YouTubers taking note of the game and doing a video on it, and it does seem to definitely help raise the profile of the game on social media.
Yeah.
There we go. I think what I'll do, Nick, is once I finish this run through, I'll restart the game and do a final one, and then we'll bring the stream to a close, because I'm just aware we've been going for 3
more than
hours.
Go to bed whenever you're ready. It is 11:30 PM in England.
I'm sure my dog is downstairs just wondering where the hell I am. Oh.
What species of bird, of owl, is Koji? Hawthorne Bunny asked. There isn't actually any bright red owls in existence, but he is closest to great horned owls. He's got his little pokey up ear bits on top of his head, but he isn't directly any real animal.
Right, here we go. Oh, I missed.
Oh, I still think you should be doing it without the ice power.
No. It's just too much fun with the ice power.
We should get pet owls, Marcus and Malcolm say. That would be good.
I'll just restart.
You have to feed them lots of live mice and stuff, though. I don't think I'd like doing that.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, actually, since playing Eagle Island, I've actually been quite tempted to go on a falconry day.
Yeah.
I've never even considered it before, but it turns out there's actually quite a few relatively near to me that I could do. And I kind of looked it up a little bit just because I thought, oh, falconry, what type of birds are involved, like owls and so on. And there's such a wide variety, and I thought that's actually quite interesting, and I'd love to just go and see live falconry and try it myself at some point.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's scary though with the big ones. I mean, some of those birds are big.
Yes, yeah,
you see people with actual eagles on their hands, and there's no way I'd do that.
Yeah. And
there's also the funny Donald Trump clip where he's getting got by the eagle. I don't know if anyone's seen that. I don't know if we laugh every time. Malcolm and Marcus say the element selector reminds them of Secret of Mana on the SNES. Yeah, that's exactly. I literally took it straight from that. I'm not even going to pretend I didn't, because I did. And also, when you fire Koji, if you miss, you have to wait a second for the character to flash pink. That is also exactly the same as on Secret of Mana. And if you get a combo, you can fire again straight away. I made that bit up. On Secret of Mana, you have to wait regardless of whether you hit or not. Will there be any sort of 100% completion reward? You will get rewarded by the sort of true ending of the game, the true story completion. And but following that, there will still be additional modes that are just there for challenging you. So you get the main story, then you'll get the hard version of completing the main story, and then you'll get the final end, followed by just extra challenges, which is the super hard mode, which you just get the satisfaction of showing off being able to do them on maybe YouTube and stuff, but they won't progress the story in any way. If you mean if there are any secret items you get for doing it, then maybe there are.
There's just a lone chest in the top left corner of the map.
Yeah, that is a long way away, isn't it?
It's odd because there's quite a good concentration in the middle and to the bottom right, and then there's just that one on its own.
One long road full of enemies to get to it.
Yeah, it's just room after room of moles.
Yeah.
And moths.
Yeah. Uphill, fighting moles uphill is the most.
It's horrendous. I find it worst fighting them in a room where there's water and only a little bit of land. I've had that once or twice.
Oh really? I haven't actually seen that. But yes, it's sort of luck of the draw when you get that.
Yeah,
It
it's
keeps
not
things interesting.
it's not common at all. I've only had it like once or twice in the number of times I've played, but
Yeah.
it makes things a bit interesting because if the water is above knee height, you end up swimming in it. So you
Yeah.
have to kind of panic and dodge as much as you can.
Malcolm and Marcus are asking, are there any plans for multiplayer? I've had a few people ask for co-op, and that simply wouldn't work because of the way you go through one room at a time. You'd be constantly waiting for the other player, which, yeah, it just wouldn't really work. However, battle mode would be pretty fun. That'd be a pretty unique game, but I don't have time to put it in the main release. That's it. Pretty time-consuming to add a whole new mode. But if it makes a little bit of cash and I have some time to work on it in the future, I'd definitely like to include that as a free DLC, just so you can have couch co-op. Couch multiplayer battle mode where you're running around collecting the power-ups and trying to hit each other.
I actually really like that idea.
Battletoads was a success. What about Bat Owls? Yeah, let's leave that one be, I think. How about the eagle represents America and a Chiro represents North Korea? I daren't go there.
I wouldn't touch that one.
Yeah. I did see what you did there. It was impressive. Thanks for the kind words, Christoph. Where did you find out about it, out of curiosity? Yeah, the second Falcon glove you wheeled out. That'd be pretty fun once you rescued a Chiro.
Yeah, I think dual wielding owls would be quite interesting.
That would definitely be the sequel. You've got both your owls back. You've got two Falconry gloves. You're just going with like high-speed owl action.
I'm just imagining that in the sequel you're going to go kind of like the Die Hard route with naming the sequel. So you've got Eagle Island, then Eagle Island 2, Eagle Harder.
Yeah.
Eagle Island 3, Eagles with a Vengeance, and then it's the return of Amora.
Minor Disappointment thinks that when you complete the game, you could get a reskin of Quill wearing the Eagle Island shirt that we wore.
Oh, the Eagle Island
or
shirt.
He just takes his hoodie off and he's wearing it underneath.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got enough pixels in the character sprite to accurately represent that sound.
It's a shame because I'd go with making it like John McClane's kind of white torn tank top that's just slightly stained, but you can still see the Eagle Island logo across the front.
Yeah. I'm trying desperately to ignore some owl puns in the comments.
Oh dear. Oh no! I nearly had the 8. That would have been great.
Oh, I didn't see.
Yeah, I was just ploughing through a couple of the plant enemies and a couple of moths, and I just slightly missed the last one. That would have taken me from a 7 to an 8 combo. That would have been ideal, but never mind.
Oh, Eagle Island 4, a new hoop. Oh.
No. Tell you what, some of these suggestions are just foul.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I had to do it.
Oh, Christoph found it through the Cinemassacre video. That's good.
Oh, brilliant.
Good.
Yeah, because they did a live stream, didn't they, on their gameplay channel, and then they did a
They
like
did.
A
The
video
live stream wasn't so popular, but the Mike and Ryan played one was pretty good. And yeah, I've been talking to Ryan quite a lot, and he's pretty keen on the whole game.
Oh, brilliant.
That's good.
Yes, I'll go left, I think.
Oh, Marcus and Malcolm are still trying to go, but they just use the word owl in everything instead of branching out to like hooch and foul. Oh no, they're still going.
Oh dear.
I would come up with one myself, but I'm too tired. my brain isn't that switched on.
Yeah, well, you've obviously, from the sounds of it, you've been working very hard trying to get this kind of promoted, and then on top of your kind of 9-to-5 job as well.
Yeah, I'm not planning on doing it again.
No. Do you know, I'd be incredibly tempted. I don't know how popular it would be, but a 24-hour challenge live stream. It's just Eagle Island.
Oh,
just
sorry. I just noticed that someone found it through the TV trope page because someone added Eagle Island to the roguelike page, and that was one of the fans on the that was Eggy, who was here earlier. Yeah. From the Kickstarter page, right? Made that page, I think. So that's good. It's interesting. I didn't. Yeah, you don't think about all these little places where it gets posted. People find it and come along. Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying about just before I butted in?
Oh, I was going to say I'm quite tempted to do a 24-hour live stream of just Eagle Island.
That's with the full game, you'd have enough content, wouldn't you?
Well, I was thinking.
I need to make infinite mode that just goes on forever.
Yeah, unlimited.
Your delusion is us asking: is there an auto collect feature for the coins? Yes, there is, but it's a power up that you have to choose in one of the 4 slots at the top. So you have to sacrifice having, say, longer range or faster attack power to have the ability to easily collect coins. By auto collect coins, I mean Owl collects them for you. So you can fire the owl at them, or he'll go and get them for you. The main character does collect them fairly easily by just running near them.
Yeah, they kind of gravitate towards quill when you get close enough to
Yeah,
it.
it's quite forgiving. It knows if you're trying to get it, and it'll just give it to you if you get near enough.
Have you decided on the names for some of these enemies yet?
Yeah, we've got the Stomp Bear. We've got the plant is called. I can't remember.
Not sticking with the name from the live stream last time, are we?
Yes, I've forgotten. It was some.
Oh, the Audrey's.
Audrey. Sorry.
Yeah, Audrey.
Audrey, yeah, but spelled differently.
Yeah. ORDREY.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Definitely sticking with that.
That's stuck, has it? Good.
Tangled Deep want to do a cross promotion. That's good. I've got. I can't remember what it's called, but the guys from Fable are doing a game. I'm going to do a bit of cross promotion with them. And Tangled Deep also want to, which is good. Get some last minute backers in.
That's good.
The combos feel so dang satisfying.
Definitely, I can agree with that.
That's something. The very early versions of the game didn't have combos at all, and I decided randomly one day to give Adam, and then I was like, yeah, these are staying. These are good.
Have you ever thought of when someone beats a boss, that Quill just kind of does a Saturday Night Fever little disco jive?
That would be very good fun. I might do that. There's some animations simply haven't been done yet. Like when it's game over, it'll just fade out. That'll all be done nicely and finished nicely. That's a really nice. Oh, actually, I'm watching the wrong version of the stream. We went for a really nice room just now, but I missed it. Malcolm Marcus says root. There it is, but I missed what it was. I wonder if a little owl regurgitates pellets in between the stages after biting his own NPC enemies. Yeah, for those who don't know what owls do, they deal with what they eat quite well.
Yeah.
Koji doesn't eat any of the enemies.
He's more sort of headbutting them.
Yeah, so he goes pretty hungry. He doesn't eat any mice around. There's little rabbits. It'd be quite good if he swooped down and got the rabbits and the frogs and stuff.
No, he doesn't do it.
No, he's not hungry at the moment.
That's what you should do for the healing tier. Is Koji doesn't drop a healing item, he brings you a mouse.
That's quite funny.
There we go. Alright. Oh, I missed you down there. How close can I get?
Oh, it's quite forgiving, and it's intentionally very forgiving. It's very easy to hit enemies with Koji, but it's very hard to hit them with your own body.
Yeah.
And that's to make it fun to play instead of annoying.
Yes, yeah. Okay, now I just have to see what's in this room. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's going to be, so if you get locked in a room later in the game with tougher enemies, you could really get caught out if it's a tough room and you've only got one bit of heart left.
Yeah, I can imagine there can be some quite tricky situations that'll come up.
Yeah.
Ooh, right, okay, I'll go this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think once I've finished this run, we'll probably start bringing the stream to an end. So if anyone's got any more questions for Nick, anything you want to ask, then by all means, ask away in the chat. He's here until I'm basically done.
Yeah, pretty much it. Do owls eat frogs? I don't think they do.
I don't know.
Christoph says it's kind of like a cat gifting mouses as proof of their love for their own. when you're idling, one of the idle animations should be that Koji goes get a mouse and just drops it by your feet.
Well, so long as it's not like how some birds feed their young, where he just tries to regurgitate it directly.
No.
Bit too realistic, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I'm not missing that one.
Oh, apparently owls do eat frogs and pretty much everything.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Cats supposedly lick frogs, don't they?
They might do.
They lick the frog's back because they like the chemical on the frog's back.
Ah. So
That's
they're
weird.
based.
I don't know if that's real or not. How long have I been working on Eagle Island? Very, very part-time, 2.5 years, but that's not continuously. So I work in the evenings after work, but before I got really, really, really into the development about 6 months ago, I'd stop for a couple of weeks and I'd start again, and it would be very inconsistent. So I wouldn't be able to give it an actual time of how long I really spent working on it. It was over a period of 2.5 years.
There's a nice little cluster of treasure chests there. Yeah. Let's see what we get.
Hypnotoad.
All hail Hypnotoad.
That is a scary toad if there ever was one. Nick, does your cat lick frogs? I don't think there's any ponds near my house, so she probably hasn't seen one. Christoph thinks we should keep all these weird owl ideas for the super realistic game mode you get at the end.
Unlock real mode.
Yeah, just actually looking after an owl.
Well, something quite interesting I found out about owls when I was doing a bit of research for a potential Theory Pop video is that in falconry, owls are used, but a bit more rarely than sort of buzzards and so on. But it's because the way they hunt is different. Most birds of prey rely on eyesight, but owls tend to go off sound because their vision isn't as good for that type of hunting as with falcons and buzzards. So they're more audio based, which is why I quite like the little chirp that Koji even gives off to kind of signify, okay, I'm ready to attack again.
Yeah. Okay. And that's exactly the same reason you don't use bats for falconry, because they really rely on like sonar and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's quite hard to train a bat.
Have I registered Pixelnicks as a company? Yes, it is. It is a company. So yeah, it's a company rather than me as an individual.
Oh, missed. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good time to start winding down because I'm starting to lose my accuracy a little bit.
yeah, it's pretty late.
What I think would be quite interesting is in the hardest difficulty. With the mushrooms, when they give off the little kind of gas cloud, if Koji's caught in it, if it stuns him...
Oh, that'd be vicious. But I like it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's why I put it in the hardest difficulty. But
Yeah.
I just think it'd be quite an interesting addition. Okay, I'll go this way because there's a treasure chest. Ah, no! Got the 8. That'll do.
Well,
I've noticed that.
Looking at that. Oh, sorry, go on.
So I've just noticed that the when you hit the rock, the destructible ones, they count towards your combo.
Sorry, what does?
When you hit the destructible rocks, the hidden ones, they count towards your combo.
Oh, that's not intentional.
It's a nice way of keeping it going, though.
Just looking at the stats on Eagle Island for wrapping up the end of the day.
Yeah.
It has gone up approximately just shy of £2,000 today.
Oh, fantastic!
That is outstandingly good. That is thanks to a very generous £1,000 backer even, who will get to design a boss, an entire boss for the game, which is very interesting. Quite looking forward to that.
Yeah, so it's some very good progress been made in kind of the last couple of days on the Kickstarter.
It's got right up.
I imagine that felt quite
2,500 to go now.
not too far off then.
If I calculate it, if I use the average amount of money left, so there is £2,392 to go. The average pledge is £20.81, which means we've got to find 114 more backers and we're done.
We're getting there.
It's not a huge number. And yeah, well, we've got 3 days left, so it's 40 backers a day, which is fine.
That's achievable.
Yeah.
What we got in here? Gemstones. Then we need that for a minute.
At the end of a level, Cody should cluck disapproving. Because you spend most of the level ramming him into walls. I think you should react differently depending on how accurate you were. So if you hit every enemy and never hit a wall, you get a perfect run. If you hit more walls than enemies, you get a bad run.
Yeah. The question is, do you include the kind of hidden destructible walls in there? Because you're still throwing him into a wall.
Counts
And I know
as a combo, so it counts. It's good for me. Jesse asks, have I already designed some of the bosses? Other than the mini boss in the demo? Very, very likely. Two bosses are in the sort of pipeline. But they need the proper concept arting and the real sort of. They're going to take a lot of testing. So they all have a unique sort of battle mechanic to get them. So the first boss of the first level, which will be the end of this level, will rely on your accuracy on vertical, diagonal, and horizontal attacks to make sure you've got that down. So depending on what the boss is doing, you'll have to attack from a different angle, very specifically. So that's the mechanic in the first boss. And the second boss, you'll have just got the lightning attack. So it will deal with lining up perfectly the chain attack on the boss, the different elements of the boss, to make sure it hits all parts of it at the same time.
Right, well, there's the boss room. So if anyone has got any final questions for Nick, by all means ask away now, because we're going to draw the stream to a close before too long. Probably in the next couple of minutes or so we'll be looking to end, I should think. Oh dear. Oh, hang on. We'll do this old school. No, we won't.
Yeah, you got this. You got this. It's all about getting them straight down, because you can't jump if you get down from above.
I'm down to 1 heart.
Are we slowly turning the game into Dark Souls from the mimics and other troll mobs? It will not turn into Dark Souls. It'll be solid, sort of like cartoony roguelike, without too much unfair difficulty.
Oh, that was close. Good gravy.
Steve has a fake account. He's back, but we're just finishing up, Steve. So you came in just at the end. Quite a few people have compared it to Mega Man, and I'll be completely honest, I've never played more than half a level of Mega Man before, so I wouldn't know. It is far too difficult for me.
I tend to rage quit.
Yeah, I just can't play Mega Man. I'm not good enough, I'll be honest. Will some bosses be resistant to specific elements? Yes. Each boss will have a very specific attack method to defeat it, like similar to Zelda, but a bit tougher, because I always found the Zelda bosses too easy. And if that is all the questions, I'll just wait a minute in case any some are coming. I'll wait a minute in case any are coming through. Christoph says thanks. Well, thanks for joining us, Christoph. Thanks for being a fan of the game. And if you'd like to, well, this goes to everyone. If you'd like to share the Kickstarter campaign with any of your friends or family, if they pledge and they mention your name in the comments, you'll each be entered into the competition to have a chance of designing one of the enemies for the game. So all you've got to do is get someone to pledge, get them to mention your name in the comments as long as you've pledged as well. And yeah, you'll be when or if the game is successful. I'd like to say when. We'll draw random winners, and you and the person who pledged will both get to design an enemy with me for the game. Which will be pretty fun, and that's all you've got to do is do a £10 or more pledge each, and you'll be entered. Joe's not happy about the tone of blue in the tailwind, but we'll visit that at a later date. I'm too tired to worry about that right now. Oh, we've got to end with Koji fireworks. There we go, beautiful. It's like Super Mario Brothers ending. Wonderful, wonderful.
There we go. I'm out of magic.
Out of fireworks. That's it. Right. Well, good night, everybody, and just keep sharing it, because we are so close, and it would be absolutely gutting to not make it after coming so far.
Yeah. So I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for joining as well, and thank you, Nick, for joining me on the stream and taking the questions for the audience as well. I'm sure they appreciate it as well. And I think we will just about end it there, guys. So have a good evening, and head on over to pixelnicks.net/Kickstarter and back the game if you haven't already, and share it out with friends and family. Share it with anyone you think might be interested as well. Let's make sure we get this funded and backed on Kickstarter.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone, and good night.
Good night.